across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, whatever way you look at it, the Muslim Football Association of Britain, forgive me if I've got their name wrong, have demanded that Sir Jim Ratcliffe apologise for what he said that Britain is being colonised by migrants. Now, I don't, as you know, use the word colonised or colony simply because I believe it's not something that's being done by the country they're coming from. It's being done by us. Therefore, it's a tribal area. Forgive me, I'm about to sneeze, but...
Oh, bless you for that. No, but I mean, you're right. It sort of is the government have colonised this country.
Absolutely right. And now I've composed myself. Let me say this. I believe that there is a gradual process of the way that the Muslim Brotherhood are taking over this country. We saw the Aston tribal area assert its sovereignty to say that no Jews should be allowed in. Now, effectively, there's a foreign policy, isn't there? When Manchester decides that it doesn't like the fact that areas are being colonised, its leadership should resign. I find the whole thing despicable. Now, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. You can phone in and tell us all about your thoughts on whether Britain is being colonised. 0344 499 1000. We're joined, of course, by the only man from Manchester who's not a supporter of either Manchester United or Manchester City. It's Pete Barnes.
Hiya, guys. How's it going?
Gutted you're on.
I know, yeah. It's also really weird that I'm an hour early.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know why, but here I am.
Yeah, strange.
It's going to throw me for the rest of the night, but here I am. This is a fascinating story, actually, because I think you've got so many bits to it, really, because you've got the fact what he said. Well, obviously, he got the numbers wrong, but he's not incorrect in what he said.
The fact we all thought he was Jeremy Irons when he came on.
I have to admit, I did go,
why is Jeremy Irons commenting?
I'm glad I'm not the only person that made that reference of our age group, but yes, there you go. And I think you've also got the fact that he apologised but didn't apologise, which is one of those classic ones. So I was very glad he did that because I think he knows exactly what he was doing. But I do have to admit, I find it more interesting that the Prime Minister is wading into this with 2 feet, basically, because he wants Mandelson and Keir Starmer on the front pages. That's why this is blown up into such a story, is because they are terrified of this narrative that they can't shake off.
But I don't know if Asher, you can do this, or Pete can do it, or one of the viewers and listeners can do it. But I don't understand what the difference between a migrant and a settler is. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So basically,
now guess what? I get what expat is. Somebody who lives in a country temporarily. So somebody who goes to Dubai, you don't expect to become a permanent citizen of the United Arab Emirates. They're expats. But these people are colonists, settlers, migrants. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, I use the word settler because a migrant implies a transitory nature, moving from one place to another. If you've stayed here for 20 years, you've not moved, have you? So therefore, you can't be a migrant anymore. So therefore, this is one of the big problems of the immigration debate: is the language that we use is very specific and it's thrown out like a.
But if we were to say in Burnley what they say in South Africa, where they go, settler communities first came here in the 1950s and have been unpopular because they've refused to give up their language and culture. That's what they say in South Africa about people like the Afrikaners.
But they celebrate it as well. They, the left often say, yes, this is reverse colonisation for, But now when it's a different argument, they change their argument. They just change it anyway.
Are you looking for consistency from left wingers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, he was right. Last year alone, I think 700,000 extra people signed up to the NHS for a doctor, and that's happening on an annual basis.
Yeah, but I think the story highlights
they've not paid in all those people.
100%.
I mean, the amazing next thing, Pete, of course, is what they were saying on Sky News, where they're going, but net migration is going down. Yes, because we're throwing more Brits out.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, I will say one thing: if net migration hits zero, 2 million come in. 2 million people from the third world come in and 2 million Brits leave to make way for them. That will be the great replacement. Now, whether you like it or not, it will simply be a fact.
That's why they shouldn't bother with the net figure. It's the gross figure that matters.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the one thing that really got me was the fact that we're fussing over what he said and not what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know, it was, yet again, we're doing veneer level politics when actually we should be talking about the 9 million people that sit at home and don't do anything.
Yeah.
And you wonder why we've got 0.1% growth of the economy.
Rising.
You know, yet again, it's a perfect example of we want to deal with the kind of the window dressing and not deal with the broken window. And until we actually fix that, I don't think anything is going to improve, no matter who's in charge.
But also, I mean, I hate when politicians say stuff that's plainly untrue.
Yeah.
Where they go, you know, there's no problem with migration, yes there is. But also, we're not getting poorer. I mean, oh, come on.
Yes.
No, I don't know anybody who feels rich. I mean, even the multi-millionaires getting a smaller car.
Well, Alex, who does this show, she had almost a breakdown on air because she has to commute 2 hours to Gloucester, you know, so she can pay enough tax. She's got a very good job, but yet she still doesn't earn enough to live in London, and yet she has to pay taxes, almost half her money, to pay for other people who've just moved to London to live in London.
Oh, that's what David Starkey says. What a crime it is that you have to get up early so you can get the train past all the people living in the houses close to your work, none of whom have a job.
And that's the key word, fairness.
Yeah.
None of it seems fair.
No.
And that's the bit that all the politicians have completely ignored, is the fact that people just feel ripped off. It's ripped off Britain.
Have you ever noticed, if you go to some of the poshest areas of London, and you think they'd have like a Waitrose or whatever, and they've all got a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, David Starkey made the point. The reason is because these wealthy areas now increasingly have penniless migrants being moved into them.
Yeah, there's that, and the fact that nobody actually lives in them.
Yes.
So there's no point in having a big
the residential population is actually comparatively poor.
I heard someone saying, look, I live in this nice area, Kensington, you don't expect to get robbed. I said, well, it's because you live there. That's where they go to get the Rolexes and everything. That's why they're going up there.
It's the area of London I live in, and tell me, I've noticed in the 10 years that I've been in London now, the stark difference between how you behave on the street.
Are we allowed? Are we allowed? Right. Okay. So I think we should be Britishists, like Zionists, where we say we want a homeland for the British.
See, yeah.
How far is that going? Is that going too far? I don't know.
No, I don't think it is, because I think instead of using the word...
Because when people say, look, you know, Asia for the Asians, India for the Indians, you know, hey, we need to decolonise Pakistan. Europe is for everyone. Right? Why can't we say where's the homeland for the Europeans? Well, I mean, when I was born, 30% of the world's population were white. It's now 8%.
Yeah. I also think you have the problem...
And declining.
It's also the idea that everybody in these regions all gets along anyway. I think that's also a bit of an irony. But if you take away the word colonised, or this kind of narrative, and use the word hegemony, which is what you use in international politics, if you influence people by your own culture. And that's what we're actually seeing. It's not necessarily, like you said, a great invasion. It's not like an orchestrated mastermind plan. It's just people coming here and changing the nature of the country in small ways that has now started to actually kind of culminate in a very big and noticeable
Well, you look at
difference.
kids' accent who are now British. They all have this funny accent that sort of developed over that sort of Ali G sort of
Exactly.
accent.
I have to say,
that's the thing, it's the small bits like that.
Don't diss me, or I'm proper sick blood and all this sort of thing.
It's like you're from Birmingham, come on.
But I mean, you know, he said 70 million people live here, and everyone, how dare you? Well, actually, the actual statistics office, the official, they said in, I think, 2024 there was 70 million, and that wouldn't count the people who've overstayed their visas and illegal
100%.
migrants.
I also would point out that we had an Office of National Statistics that wanted to have a census because they forgot to count people who came in and out. We've got people whose job it is to count, who can't count.
But they've done the best, Pete. Remember the new rule in public services? She did.
Don't get caught.
Paula Fennells did her best. Now, she did lock people up, but she did ask. She did ask, are we locking people up illegally?
I just thought the new rule was don't get caught.
Oh, no, I totally disagree. I think the new rule is, well, I tried my hardest.
Yeah.
No, don't bully me. Yeah. I tried my hardest. Give me my pension.
Exactly, yeah. As long as that last bit's on as well, okay, give me my pension. But...
Tesco's actually estimated, you know, they number crunched all the data because it's important for them in their forecasts, and they said they think there's 80 million people here.
Yeah, was it one of the water companies here said
Yes.
Was it one
that
of
was
9?
in 2011.
Yeah,
that was in 2011. They said at Tesco said.
Because again, all the numbers that we have are things that are actually recorded.
But if you go to Nelson in Lancashire, it is a predominantly Urdu-speaking area. it's predominantly Muslim. It's predominantly people from Pakistan. When you look at the dress code, when you look at whatever, it is a Pakistani town. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's not recognisably British.
Yes, I agree. It's not one of these things where it's good or bad. It's just this has happened, and we can't just ignore
when you say now, the other thing about a colony,
I think there are objectively bad things about it.
Yeah. Well, look, the other thing about a colony is this: the tribal area. Right, here is the bit that people don't seem to accept. If people move from Pakistan or from Bangladesh or from India or Eritrea, Somalia, or even Brazil, they move to an area where there are other Brazilians, right? So you tend to have these ethnic enclaves, right? It is
London's a prime example of that.
Yeah, it's not true to say, well, you know, there's one Eritrean family living on every street. It's not true.
No.
What you have is you have Banglatown, you have Chinatown, you have Golders Green.
Yeah. It's only the same when you go to places where there's a lot of British people. You feel that it is a lot more British culturally and the way that people talk to each other. It's just how humans
It reminds you of the old days, you know, when you go to some of these seaside towns and you go, oh yeah, this is what it used to be.
I went to Benidorm for my Tuesday stag do. God, that was fruity.
Oh God.
There was.
You can stay on that side of the desk.
There was a number of right wingers there. Let me tell you, some from Luton. But anyway, let's not go any further with that. But he didn't hit anyone. Don't worry. Okay, but I went to that, and Benidorm is just a British town.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, Benidorm's slightly different because it was built as a tourist resort for British people. Ergo, I suppose the Spanish don't really care because they've never lived there.
Yeah, but if you actually look what's happening in Spain right now, you've got these kind of movements where they're kind of beating back down the tourists, because of the prices of houses. You know, it has an effect on the culture of the place where you're going, and
the
economy, and like everyone says,
can't afford houses.
Yeah, that's the big thing. People say, oh well, they need our money. Well, yeah, they do, but they also would like to have their own culture, their own thing that we want here. And I think we kind of forget that when we look at Europe. But I think when we look what's happening here in Britain, it is the fact that we'll gaslit into believing that this isn't a problem. Everything that is happening, you're only seeing it because you're a racist.
I remember in the year 2000, Andy Burnham had said that there was no significant increase in migration into Britain, and I saw somebody in Lee with a burqa. Right now, Lee was the whitest.
Yeah.
No, there was. When I grew up, I always say this. When I grew up, Dr. Bhattacharya was the only Asian. Was the only Asian. Right. Pete from Wusang was the only Chinese man, and he owned the chippy.
And that's the thing.
Right? And there was one black dude who'd been adopted. That was the sum total of the ethnic minority.
Yeah, did you know all these characters?
No, but it's pretty much the same thing. I remember there was this guy walked into the local pub, and then it used to say it was the whitest pub ever. And this guy was I think he had a turban on, and the guy turned around and went, "He's new," and then that was the kind of interaction with it. It was just like it was an objectively a noticeable difference to everything in the town. So to say that it's not changed is just a lie.
Lord Ranger, when he ran for Makerfield in 2001, I think he said, I said to him, do not go to Makerfield, not in a bloody turban. They'll kill you. They were all right with him, actually.
Yeah, that's
I think it's when he gave his views on gay marriage, they became quite. They realised that they had stuff in common.
I know. Well, I suppose that's only like the Green Party right now, isn't it? They're going to go through that wonderful moment where they realise that maybe all the new members aren't quite on board with the they/them pronouns.
No. That's going to be weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Obviously, a couple of Thursdays' time, we're going to have the Gorton by-election. We're not going to talk about it much because we have these ludicrous rules where we're not allowed to talk about elections while they're happening, which is unbelievable. But I think it's 2 weeks' time,
roughly
3 weeks' time,
26th, I think it is. Yeah.
So we'll be covering it here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I don't want to get too far into it, but
I'll tell you why it's fascinating because any of the major parties could win it.
Yes,
I mean we can say that much.
Yeah, but also, no matter who wins, you've also got something to spin. So, there's so many. If that party wins, then it's good for this one. It's good for that one.
The knock-on effects.
Yeah. What's interesting is I'm kind of terming it kind of the by-election of narratives. In other words, everybody has got a story to tell out of this thing, and this is going to be the future of our politics. A very European-style tactical voting. Because the two-party system didn't break, it shattered. So there's now lots of different parties. So this kind of coalition building is just going to be the norm. The idea of supermajorities, I think, is done for now. I really think Starmer will have the last big majority.
Tactical voting is so easy now because you can just go online to electoral calculus and all that sort of thing. Yeah. When I first voted, your ability to tactical vote it was tiny. No, sorry, your ability to tactical vote was high, but you had to have a lot of knowledge to do it. You don't need a lot of knowledge.
But no, but there are now big organisations that actually roll out this stuff. They actually are working with political parties in certain constituencies, and there's a whole industry now behind it. So it will be absolutely fascinating to see the results, because I do think I don't think obviously the Labour Party's not going to win it, but it's how badly they lose it, which is their story.
We don't know. We've got to wait.
Go back. Look, I'm very sorry. Look, we haven't commented properly on the Gorton by-election. I personally think if anyone's angry about this, Ofcom changed these stupid rules.
Yes. It's actually the law, isn't it? Though?
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The Representation of People's Act.
Can I tell you, I read the Representation of the People's Act with my lawyer, and Ofcom's interpretation of it is just wrong.
Yeah, well, it's Ofcom.
Well, so as an example, if you or I want to run for election, we have to resign our job at Talk. Yeah. It doesn't say that you can't participate in democracy because you work on the TV.
Yeah, no,
it doesn't say.
Anyway, look, we've got to take a little breaky. Pete Barnes is with us to talk about all the days and weeks events. It's Andre and Ash on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is a story that Pete wants to talk to us about. This is the Green Party to be investigated by the counter-terrorism police over their views on
everything.
Zionism.
Yes, exactly. Do you remember? Do you know, this story makes me long for the days of Caroline Lucas, and that's a sentence I never thought I would say.
Yeah.
Because at least she was, vaguely interested in, green things. But this is an absolutely fascinating story, because obviously you've got the kind of the influx of the Gaza takeover of the Green Party.
But who knew they were environmentalists as well?
Yeah. But this is interesting though, is because the environmental movement is one of the it's the rising force on the left. So it's the new kind of thing that they're all attaching to. So basically, it's being exploited by a lot of other actors, and throughout Europe actually. It's not this isn't a unique situation, which I find even more concerning if you think about it. But yeah, so basically there seems to also, to think about this story, it's an insider that has gone to the police to counter-terrorism and actually said, well, you need to look into these lot, basically, because you're looking at the calls for political prisoners, and it's just absolutely
well, do you remember
astounding.
the councillor one? Isn't he the deputy now? Shouted Allah Akbar.
Yep, yeah, and nobody thought that would be a problem.
That's not a green policy.
Zion's...
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. The problem is they're fascists, aren't they, the Green Party?
They are. Yeah.
They don't realise that.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't, no, a fascist doesn't realise they're fascist. It's other people that call them that, I suppose. But everyone's a hero to themselves. But it is one of the interesting things in our politics, because obviously you've got the issue with Birmingham. You've got the guy who was involved in a terrorist incident. He's eligible to. He's standing as a candidate, and then you've got all this other kind of. It's not. It's
Shahid Butt.
That's the one, and it's more. Yeah, how did I forget that? But
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, it's really, for me, it's just how vulnerable is our political system to that. It is so easy just to kind of walk into it and take over.
And our institutions, which have already been lost.
Yeah. What is it? So maybe you don't know the answer to this, but if tomorrow, if at midnight the State of Israel ceased to exist, and the Palestinians took over that territory, what would happen to those Jews we don't get off the beach? So the Jews would run for the beach to be evacuated, and those that couldn't get out of the airport.
It'd be like October.
Now,
They do.
The Greens must say, no, it'll be fine because... Or do they just say, they're just going to put them all to the sword and it'll be fine and then we'll just move on?
I don't think they'll...
They've not thought of it?
They've never thought of it.
They wouldn't say that.
They've never,
openly,
they've never thought
Somebody looked at me once when I said, hang on a second. Because, look, let me explain my view on taking territory. When people go, this is our land. Now, first of all, we all know the rule in the Islamic world. If it has ever been Islamic land, it is Islamic land forever. That is the attitude of somebody, actually even quite mainstream Muslims. So...
That's why they see Spain as
So, look, imagine now we took back the Republic of Ireland. It's our land. It used to be the UK. Fine. It's full of people that don't want to be in the UK. Full of them. Millions of them. What do you want to do next? When the Palestinians are saying, we want Israel, OK, fine, got that, but it's full of people that don't want to be ruled by you.
Yes.
How is it helpful to have that? I said this to I took a group of Argentinians round Parliament, and as you know, Argentinians are lovely. They just have a disagreement with us on about one thing, the Falkland Islands. That's it. Apart from that, they really quite like us. And I said, but why would you want the Falkland Islands, given that it's full of people that don't like you? And then we'll just throw them out.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's it, really. What they'll do is, at best, what will happen with the collapse of Israel is it'll just say, look, just we won't kill you until the last plane's taken off. So those of you that insist on staying will kill.
It'll be very similar to what I imagined when it was the Islamic Revolution in Iran.
Yes.
Like, you've got till now. After that...
Yeah, there's a deadline.
Yeah, there's a deadline.
But before 1948, there were Jews there, and they were Palestinians. They were just Palestinian Jews, and then when it all kicked off in 48, it became Israel.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of these things that, you know, you always get this kind of like, it's liberal bubble syndrome, isn't it? It's that, the world must be lovely because we're lovely. It's not. There is a brutal side to most of the planet, and unfortunately, that's going to come rather crashing into these people's faces.
I find it quite juvenile, particularly in the West, where they think that there's goodies and baddies. Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we did in Kosovo, which you may or may not agree with, probably do agree with personally. When Kosovo became an independent country, they rounded up 400 Serbs and shot them to celebrate.
Yeah,
I know, and they went, yeah, but we'd taken over. We need to get them back.
Yeah,
right? You know,
it's that phrase. The revenge aspect of it that nobody ever talks about when it comes to liberation.
Look, part of the reason the Russians are upset is what they used to do to the two Russians in Crimea and places like that is, I don't know if I can say this, but it involves stripping them naked and rubbing dog food on them.
Yeah.
So that rabid animals would chew the dog food and other things. I think I've made it clear what that was. But, now that would outrage average Russian, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that is the bit where, everyone keeps thinking these
Zelensky's
movements...
a goodie and Putin's a baddie.
Yes, but I do think there is a necessity to have you've got to pick a side. I don't think you have to have like it's not really white hats and black hats. It's kind of
you can't sit on the fence.
Yeah, but on some stuff, but
you get splinters.
Yeah, I do think you do have to kind of pick a side at times. But this idea that everybody's lovely and everything is wonderful and liberation movements are just for democracy is ridiculous because history tells you it's never for democracy.
What upsets me more than anything else is when the Ayatollah came in Iran, and I've said this multiple times, the left had said, this is a great moment where the radical left and Islam comes together for the first time. It was oppressed in the Soviet Union, radical Islam, whatever. And then when they killed all the lefties and it became a totalitarian regime, the left just went, oh, hey-ho, never mind.
Yeah, and now they support them now.
Just moved on.
Yeah, because don't forget, that's not the real version of it. That's not the true version. That's not the purest version. The element of purity to these plot is actually quite scary.
It's like when they always say communism has never happened.
Yes. Well,
you go...
Because they don't want to admit that their ideology, the thing they want, ends up with millions of people dead.
But I mean, but if your ideology so corrupts its leadership as to want to turn ordinary people into rabid mass murderers, one would suggest it's not a very good idea.
Yeah, it's because they don't understand people. That's the fundamental difference between the left and the right, is your understanding of what human nature is. And they just get it wrong again and again and again. That's why they have to control everything, is because we don't fit
they do say that people who have left-leaning views have psychological issues.
Yeah, it's the control element.
I mean, you can see that with Starmer, with Miliband, and maybe... Rayner, we're going to be talking about Rayner in a bit.
I had a debate with somebody about what you would do if Israel suddenly disappeared and somebody says, the person looked at me as if I was mentally ill and said the three communities would build solidarity.
Yeah. They genuinely believe it.
They said they'll build solidarity. They said what will happen is the Jews and the Palestinians and the Gazans will come together. And
that is actually what is happening in Israel. Is Israeli Arabs who are Muslims and are fighting the Israeli army. So the ones in Israel are.
But the answer that when you take down the wall and let Hamas stream over the border into Israel proper, what will happen is they will build solidarity. And the bloke looked at me as if this wasn't obvious.
I know.
As if this was so obvious. I was mad.
I know. This is the thing. We all fuss about people wanting 16-year-olds getting the vote. I think those people shouldn't have the vote.
What's going to happen when Hamas get hold of Ben Gurion Airport? They're going to build solidarity. Are they really? Are they really?
All of human history is definitely on your side.
They're going to build solidarity. What they're going to do is sing "Come Back." Can't sing "Come Back."
No. Well, can't sing.
As I can say, they can all unite in hatred to Keir Starmer's idea of
I always
sausages.
say this, that hate is the great unifier, not love. Hate brings people together more than love ever does.
Well, that's what's happened in Northern Ireland with uncontrolled immigration, hasn't it?
Yes.
They've all decided. There's only one thing worse than a Catholic. Sorry, that was a Catholic.
I gotta say,
there's only one thing worse than a Protestant. Only one thing worse than a Catholic.
Well, they've got it worse in the south in Ireland, haven't they? I mean, it's because they only had about 5-6 million population anyway, so it's really.
The Republic of Ireland have basically set out to abolish the country.
Oh well, yeah.
Which is ironic, really.
I mean,
against the people's wishes, as it is in all these countries.
What was it? I can't remember what his name was. The former the head Taoiseach. He was against Britain during the Brexit.
I prefer the term Prime Minister.
Yes. What's his name?
Nobody speaks that language. Stop.
I can't remember what his name is. It begins with a V. But he was
Leo Varadkar.
He was like, Britain's got to stop the Rwanda plan because it's increasing.
They were driving them out of Ireland.
And then we just got rid of it. I was like, you've got other world leaders saying it's working, and we got rid of it.
It was just about to work. It was coming to fruition.
I love what Ian Paisley said about that. He said, Varadkar's right. We all stand at the port going Dublin's that way.
03444991000. We're going to be talking about Angela Rayner and her bid to become the next Prime Minister. No brainer.
She's got no brain.
So she still hasn't settled her tax affairs. We'll be talking about all that.
Don't worry, I'm thick. I'm off the count for a day.
Yeah, it's not her fault. 03444991000. Give us a ring on that number, Pete Barnes. And you can WhatsApp message us on that if you're a bit scared. It's Talk, and we'll be back in a minute or two.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
So Pete, what are we saying?
What are we saying, Pete? Tell everybody.
No, we're just talking about how
share it with the classroom.
Exactly right. Don't.
No, I was going to say, I would change the name of Turkey to Turkiya because you'd get compared to the bird all the time. That must be quite annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
By the way, we're not
Which
allowed
came first? Didn't Turkey invent the turkey?
I think so, yeah.
No.
They had chickens. They thought we want something that has a funny...
No.
What's the bird invented the country?
No, the bird is not from Turkey. People believed it was from Turkey, so it used to be called turkey cock.
Oh, right, okay.
It did.
No, that's a different thing.
No.
Yeah.
Turkey cock.
No, there's a phrase.
I'll tell you in the break.
Angela Rayner.
It's like in Britain. I'm not joking.
Isn't that a conditioned turkey cock?
In Britain, we eat hen, but in in the Far East they will eat cock.
Yeah,
they do.
No, I have. I've got sachets of cock soup.
Cock soup,
Jamaican.
sauce. Yeah.
It's a Jamaican.
Yeah, so we only eat hen, but they will eat either head or cock.
Dunn's River Nourishment cock soup.
Well, there we go.
No, they don't do oxtail.
No, oxtail is not. It's a tail. It's a tail. No,
I like oxtail.
Is there?
Do you like oxtail?
Ox penis. You can get ox penis soup.
Right.
Oxtail soup.
Can we just be clear?
It's not the penis
when it comes to chicken, there is chicken hen and chicken cock. Right, there is turkey hen and turkey cock.
Yeah, chickens don't have one. Anyway, look, we're talking about Angela Rayner. Is she going to be the next PM? She's, she hasn't paid her tax bill. Also, do you remember when she said to Boris when he went, "We've got to have an election"? She doesn't now. The shoe's on the other foot. She doesn't think. Also, she thought there shouldn't be a parachute payment for ministers but she changed the tune with it. She's just a hypocrite.
Oh yes, she's a professional politician and she's a.
But the unions like her, apparently.
Yes, but she has been the union's girl for a very, very long time. Her rise is because
the unions just like thick people?
No, it's just because she's easily manipulated because you just throw money at her. She has got a huge donor base, and it comes through the unions. So, that's why this tax thing was never going to really take her out in a political sense because she's
paid it.
Yeah, but also what I find interesting is that this is actually the unions that's come out because this is kind of like a signal to the rest of the Labour MP saying something is happening. Is you've got to pick a side. And I think that's really what we're seeing right now is a lot of little skirmishes, a lot of little attacks at each other and all the rest of it. I think the next few weeks there will be a lot of kind of positioning, as we call it.
It's never normally the favourite, is it? It wins in the end.
Yes, yeah. You never want to be the front runner. It's like in the Tory contest, you always want to be third.
Yeah, so who's the one we're not really hearing about?
It's Ed Miliband. My money's on Ed Miliband. Oh. Only because he is clean of the Mandelson situation. He's
just explain to everyone because we know, but why is he clean of Mandelson?
So basically because
he hates him.
Yeah, he hates him, but also his appointment had nothing to do with him. There is no way he would have been read in as the net zero secretary.
And he's the only party Labour leader who had nothing to do with Mandelson when he was leader.
Yeah, pretty much. And I will say that even Wes Streeting, to a degree, of him dumping all those tweets out the other day, saying like, that situation, was getting out in front of it because obviously Wes is going to make a run for the leadership, and he's trying to get the relationship out of the way because he's not really that implicated. What makes Angela Rayner different is she was Deputy Prime Minister during his appointment. So we need to know what was in the document that's coming. I think starts next week or the week after, and then that's when we'll start to see. They knew about this. They knew about that. That's why David Lammy over the weekend, he wasn't making a ditch for Labour leader. He's trying to protect himself because his name is going to be all over this as Foreign Secretary.
But she's like Mandelson in a way. She's had to resign because of this and that, and there's rumours and all this. So
but again, also like Mandelson, she's supported by people behind the scenes, so they don't go away.
But I have to say, there's something about Mandelson. I mean, there's a number of things which are dodgy about him, but just the simple thing of government salary all of his life. I mean, director of communication in the Labour Party, I don't know what it pays, but if it was today, it'd pay, 100 grand a year?
At least,
Which is a lot, but not King's ransom. What, £20 million worth of properties?
Probably,
£15 million worth of properties?
Yeah, well, he was involved with
Hindujas.
He's one of those people where he made lots of little bits of money everywhere rather than having one big pot, basically. But I've always said this, he would have been actually a really good ambassador because of his ability to network. That was always Mandelson's great skill.
The problem is you're definitely wrong now. I'll tell you why you're definitely wrong. It's the leaking.
Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, you can say... to be fair, was he mates with Epstein? Wasn't he mates with Epstein?
He stayed in his house when he was in prison.
That wasn't the thing that shocked me. It was the market manipulation.
Yes, that without a shadow of a doubt.
That makes him a bad ambassador.
Oh, without a doubt. Oh, yeah, but obviously that makes him a bad ambassador.
Well, that's being investigated, because that could be criminal...
Yeah, and I mean, if that's happening, Mandelson's done.
Mandelson's going to jail.
Yes, without a doubt.
I will tell you why Mandelson's going to jail. Very simply this. Whatever you think of Brune... He's an honourable man. He's an honourable idiot, but he's an honourable man. When he got on the phone to Special Branch, they hit the roof.
Yes. I have to admit...
Brune will hound him.
Oh, yes. And this idea that there's going to be some cover-up, you can't cover this up.
No.
Like, this idea that's got the deep state's going to take it... The deep state has made this happen, basically.
Yeah, that's right.
Only to British people in the main. But it was, the 2008 financial crisis, we look back on that and we know these people working in the background had information before that made them billions and caused even more major problems. They should be in the nick.
Oh, without a doubt. They should have happened years ago. It often needs a monumental monumental scandal to bring everything out.
But Lammy will just say, "I'm so thick, I didn't know."
He doesn't get to pull that card because the ambassador is recommended to the monarch by the Foreign Office Minister, not by the Prime Minister. So his name is the recommendation.
Did you see the American? I think it was a spokesperson saying that if we arrest all these people in the Epstein dossier and everything, because a lot of it's been redacted, it will literally bring down the American economy. There's that many people, it will bring the Nasdaq's at a record, the Dow Jones is at a record.
I was like a bit of footsie.
So they put that above, what the terrible goings on.
Unfortunately,
it's the elites.
Yeah, that's real
politics. Has the CIA admitted that he was one of their agents?
Not officially, but I'm coming on to your theory. It would be helpful if they did, but I will say...
I don't think he's Mossad because he's too much in public. They don't like any publicity and things getting out of hand.
But I don't know, when it comes to the elites problem, sometimes conspiracy could look like that because rich people just happen to know each other.
Oh, we've got an actual picture of Oxnob. Now, it's not what you think. It's a cut of meat.
What?
I know it is what you think it is.
Why?
That's not actually...
I'm having a profound conversation.
No, it's not.
So you can buy ox penis.
No, it's not. It's not a penis. It's another part. It's beef on the bone.
Oh, thank God for that. So it's ox knob.
Beef on the boner.
Wow.
Right, 03... No, give us a ring on that number.
I'm depressed now.
Who is the next? You think it's going to be Miliband?
I think it's Miliband.
How bad's that going to be for Britain?
That's going to be terrible.
Very serious.
The markets crashed that day.
They don't understand markets, so it wouldn't make a difference to them. The thing with the Tories, when that happened to Liz, is they understood the markets, so therefore the people in the grey suits got rid of them.
Frighten the markets because they don't like the unexpected stuff.
They don't have
you weren't listening to what he said.
Yeah, but the reason that Liz, the reason Liz went was because the Tories and the right understand economics. The left don't care about the markets because people are rich because you're poor because that guy's rich. So that's how they'll spin it.
Do you remember Miliband actually on TV going, well, it will bring down the oil price, and the guy was like, well, no, there's a fixed oil prop, and he couldn't.
Oh, he has no idea.
He couldn't grapple that.
No, he has no idea.
And it's the energy.
And what concerns me most is there's a story going around that Ed Miliband was kind of Keir Starmer's economics coach, and I was like, my God, we're in a lot more trouble than I thought we were.
Rachel Reeves, I mean, she was...
Rachel Reeves, she is just like a plank of wood that somebody painted.
She's got savaged today because they brought, I think Angela Rayner had a go at her over the business rates. Andy Burnham,
she cried last time Rayner stared at her.
Oh, yeah, I know. The idea
you remember made her cry.
Oh, we never found out why that was, by the way.
No, I reckon it's Rayner with the no knickers trick.
Yeah.
The growler. Do you remember when she said, she used to show Boris a growler in Parliament, in the mother of all parliaments?
Yeah, and then she...
Bright red.
How is that funny?
Yeah, but the thing about that story is it got leaked as though it was some kind of sexist remark in Parliament. She was the one that was saying it. Like, you know...
Yeah, she said it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, if she's the Prime Minister, that'll be coming out all the time. The word. Hopefully not the actual...
Is this what we're talking about? Where you've got somebody in the running to be Prime Minister who shows her vagina to parliamentarians opposite in order to put them off their game. Now, no matter how unpleasant it is to look at her private parts, I mean, it's slightly unbecoming, isn't it?
It is, but also...
It's also illegal, isn't it?
Yeah. It's because we this nation has what I've been calling a kink. We love the working class. We love it. We fetishise it. This kind of girl done good off the streets of Stockport, she's now Prime Minister. That narrative, we love the underdog story. But
isn't she just a cheap old slapper?
Well, to be honest, she's got some political skill to get this far.
Yeah, that's
she has to have some skill. But, I mean, in terms of her sitting on a world stage representing the nation, let's be real.
And she lived in the house and then didn't live in the house. All her neighbours said, we know where, you know what I mean?
Which
all this...
I mean, actually, that would be gravely worrying. Can you imagine her... Oh, with Putin. Oh. That the mayor. I'm very concerned.
Ironically, I'd understand him more.
Oh, the other thing she did, and the other bit of hypocrisy...
This simply is not English.
She blocked being able to buy your council house after she bought her, so she brings up the drawbridge.
That's peak Labour Party theory. It's Diane Abbott, isn't it, coming out against private education, having sent all of her kids to a private school. Like, the left always do this. It's... for you, it's terrible. Yeah.
That's because she didn't realise, she thought it was a very reasonable fee at the private school, because she's not very good at mathematics.
My favourite...
Neither's Angela Rayner either.
My favourite of Diane Abbott, and you hear it all the time when they sort of go, and sort of Labour MP goes, when I were at school, people used to say I were thick. Yeah. But now I'm a Labour MP, I proved them wrong. And you think, did you really?
Diane Abbott was good, actually. For the one thing she said was good, she couldn't believe about Starmer still being, not resigning after this.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, that a stop clock is right twice a day. But, I think that she has a remarkable career, but she's just ruined it because she's a bit of a moron. But I think that the thing when it comes to Rayner is... we love that kind of. That, you know, the girl off the street from Stockport, she's done well, she's climbed the ladder.
Vaping on the jet ski.
Yeah. That, you know, she's just one of us.
So, Jeff, right, I'm just watching, because we've got all the TV screens. Jeff Hinton, the father, look, he's put his WhatsApp on Newsnight Live. Look.
Oh, my God.
What do you mean?
Haven't they? Anyway, doesn't matter. He was doing his. He put up his Zoom phone number. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Let's give Professor Jeffrey Hinton a ring.
No, okay. Right, sorry, go on.
Yeah, but this is my point: is that I think the right does this as well. Like, we obsess over the red wall, we obsess over these, like, the working class, and like, as though it's some kind of uniform group of people. It isn't, and I do think that the right is tricking into this identity politics trap that the left have when it comes to ethnic minorities. That we're starting to kind of elevate it to something that it's not. You know, don't get me wrong, the working class has its issues, like everybody else does. But
Pete, Matt in Hove says, has Pete got one shoulder pad in his jacket?
No.
2.
I don't have any.
Someone says, Matt in Hove, and he knows about shoulder pads.
No.
He's in Hove.
No, he looks a bit like. It's
because I'm not
Richard III again.
No, either Clive Anderson or what's his name? Sandy Toxvig.
Sandy Toxvig.
Alan Corran.
Are they the same person, Clive Anderson?
I got to say that
Sandy Toxvig.
The no neck brigade.
Sandy Toxvig. She's not hot, is she?
No. Sandy Toxic. She was quite hot in number 73 when we were. You wouldn't know about it. You see? Did you not learn it in history at school?
I don't know.
It's so dumbed down education, isn't it?
Number 73 is my favourite thing to order from the Chinese. Have I told you my grandmother's story about the Chinese?
Well, hold that thought. We're going to hear about Andre's grandmother's story about the Chinese. 03444991000. Give us a ring about anything, you know, we were talking about, or whatever you want. Pete Barnes is here. It's Talk. We'll be back in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Do you know what? I've got a friend of mine. He's just got in touch to say that he had a head of comms in his company who was utterly crap, and she's now become a Labour MP. He said, "Don't name her, but she looks dreadful." Look at this date of that. Yeah. Oh, she looks like hyacinth bouquet. No, that's
it's dangerous. Like
that's a.
You didn't want to come up an alley running at you.
That's a retold trout, that isn't it?
Oh God.
Anyway, okay, so.
Probably a lovely person.
Yes. I'm sure she's got a nice personality. She looks like she's got a nice personality, if I'm being honest. What's next,
people that people describe as
nice
handsome.
eyes. Nice.
Yeah,
eyes.
she's bubbly.
Bubbly, yeah.
She's bubbly.
She's full of fun.
Yeah. Do you know what were those things that the Sun always used to lie, didn't they, about where they go tired and emotional, that meant drunk?
Yes. Yeah. So they actually come from obituaries, because you don't write a bad obituary. Yeah. So they were code words used in the kind of the old school obituaries they used to write about people, and say like, oh, he was always like the life and soul of a party. Means he never used to pay his debts. You know, like right? Yeah, it's like lots of little things like that. I think it was the Times that actually did it, if I remember rightly.
Some of the other ones, lovable rogue, low-level criminal.
Yeah, basically, it's all that kind of stuff.
I love the Sun the way a pedo's always caged.
Yes,
always caged.
Always caged.
Never put in prison. Always caged.
Animals. Yeah.
Trying to get. Well, what's some of the other good ones? If anyone can remember any, text them in, because I hate saying that. If you've got any music things, text them in. It's like Radio 1 in 1992. But
now the other thing, Trump and the BBC.
Sorry, I meant to tell my story.
Oh yeah, it is Andre's story about his grandma's experience at the local Chinese.
Wasn't the local Chinese? I may have told you this before, but My mum and my grandmother went over to Belfast to visit my Uncle Sean. No idea why that was. My mum wasn't in the room when Sean and my grandmother had a huge argument. Don't know what the argument was about. And given it's now about 1970, we will never know because they're all dead. But anyway...
Your dad might know.
No, if it wasn't, they wouldn't know. Anyway... So, my grandmother leaves the house extremely upset, floods of tears, and walking around the streets of Belfast. Now, of course, my mother does not know the streets of Belfast. She left when she was 3 years old. So, walking around trying to get her some dinner. And the only place they could find was a Chinese place. And Mum went, oh, she won't eat any foreign food. But at the bottom, there was one thing she'd eat, steak and chips, number 32. She went, 2 number 32s, well done. And my grandma went, Loretta, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That wee steaks, that's beautiful. No, well, I don't know the way my grandmother talked. No. But anyway, that is the way she talked.
Was she Welsh?
So anyway, so she went back to her shop. And, of course, all these women in Liverpool didn't know the rule on number 32s and all this at the Chinese restaurant. She's going... Loretta took us to Belfast. We had a 32. It was... you had a 32, did you, Liz? Oh, lovely. She never explained what a 32 was.
Oh, is it the same in all Chinese restaurants, the number?
No, of course.
There should be a unified number, shouldn't there? That'd be very good,
this story now dies, but anyway, the story was she went into a Chinese restaurant 20 years later and ordered the number 32, and I didn't get the steak I got in Belfast. I got some wee scrimpy thing. I give the woman the filthiest look and didn't need a bait.
They do good chips in Chinese takeaways.
Yeah,
I think it's the peanut oil or something.
Yeah,
nice. Perfect with a steak.
Yes.
So anyway, Trump, £10 billion lawsuit against the BBC. They tried to delay it, didn't they, the BBC? It's going to be set for February 2027 in Miami.
Yeah, so Miami's quite interesting, really, because I thought they probably would have done it more in certain other states because of the individual state law, which is what they have to start going after now. Like, where you hold these kind of cases is very, very important.
So why wouldn't Miami come?
Well, basically because it is not as in favour of Trump's kind of narrative.
But they must have picked that for a reason.
Yeah, I think it's because of the quickness to which they could get the date, if anything, because I think what they're looking at is having this kind of way to get around the fact that Minnesota has just kind of kicked out ICE. You know, there's a lot of domestic politics. You've also got the midterms that are coming up as well. So these kind of all play into the narrative that the Republicans will want to play. And, you know, there's not a lot of love between the kind of Republican Party and Trump at the moment. So the domestic scene in America is not as kind of rosy as many people on the right wish it was.
So Mr. Trump said the BBC had given the impression that he incited violence and encouraged people to storm the building, which is what they did by editing the clip. He actually said, go to the Capitol building and be, well behaved.
Pray.
And then they cut it and say, and fight, and totally rewriting it.
It's the filter, it's the music, it's everything else that they happen to just add on to it by complete accident. I mean, this is the thing with the BBC, is that they just think everybody else is a moron.
Well, this is it. They've apologised for the edit and admitted it had given a mistaken impression of the president who had made the direct call for violent action. However, it denies the clip harmed.
It's not.
They said it harmed Mr. Trump as he ultimately ended up being re-elected. We've got a little clip of what they did. Let's have a look at what happened. Show the dog the rabbit.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
I mean, unbelievable.
The stark difference between those two things is absolutely astonishing. When you actually see it like that, to say that this is not some kind of...
It's like you'd have an intern for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just staggering.
I think you would struggle to remain as a junior producer at this building if you did that.
I don't think you'd be allowed back in the building.
No, I don't think. I think
no one will get fired. They'll just get promoted, if anything.
Yeah, but this is also the thing. Nobody has really got fired over this. The producer of the show is still there. The people that run the show are still there. Yes, Tim Davie walked away. Well, he got given a nice lump sum in his pension. That's not a fire. That's not accountability. Yeah. And I think that is why Trump's right to keep pursuing this, because this whole thing is nobody has been held accountable for what they did.
No, normally what the BBC do is they make a drama, a series out of it, and go, we're so willing to criticise ourselves. We gave ourselves an even bigger budget to make
like the Jimmy Savile thing.
Oh, okay, without a doubt. The only reason we're ever going to get anything done on the grooming gangs is when ITV decide to do another drama about how we've not had one yet. That is, it's the preposterousness. It's how we got the Post Office Horizon scandal back in everybody's.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cared. This thing has been going on for so long, and yet one TV drama and everybody.
But then again, it gets forgotten, doesn't it? There's still people trying to get money. They knock into the long grass.
That's also the big problem. But at least it got some attention for 10 minutes.
It did,
but
big attention.
I do think that a real comeuppance has to happen in our society to somebody very, very powerful. And I actually thought that Prince Andrew might have been the one where Parliament had the chance to strip him of everything. I thought.
Well, now it's leading back to the King, isn't it? And stuff,
well, it would not surprise me if the King is not forced to abdicate pretty soon because he's up to neck in it.
Well, millions of dollars in suitcases. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I know. But this whole idea that he knew about the 12 million to Virginia Giuffre, and he was
apparently Andrew Battenberg hasn't even paid them back the 12 million. Apparently Charles gave a couple of million. The Queen paid.
Imagine this sort of coupling up.
Yeah, but the idea.
My brother's been accused of being a nonce.
I've always
said, he hasn't been, has he? No.
Yeah, I always say that obviously a lot of this did lie at the Queen.
It just hasn't been proved.
Yeah, it been lies at the foot of the Queen really for not dealing with Andrew strongly enough. Where you can get the whole son narrative thing, but Charles knowing what exactly, not obviously what has been going on, but that he's been involved in the situation, I think changes the dynamic there radically. And I don't see how it's tenable for Charles to say as king. I just don't see it because they are tarred with this, and it's.
But
going
that would
to
be the
follow
end
them.
of the royal family. You can't just abdicate and have William. Can you?
I think that will be sped up, and they will use his illness as the excuse. I think that's what we'll start to see that.
But Charles isn't really doing the job now, is he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? The William was always seemed to have been elevated.
I always call him King Prince Charles because I think it's an appropriate thing to call him, simply because his principal contribution to this world was being the longest-serving Prince of Wales ever.
Yeah.
Which he will never be defeated on. But look, by the time it gets to him being king, he is very much just a bed warmer, isn't he?
Yeah, pretty much. I think. Then obviously he then became ill. He's had all the family trouble and everything. He's not really a chance to be king, if you know what I mean. Like he's not really all that training has somewhat been a waste, if I'm being honest. Because actually, there was a real moment where he could have reinvigorated, I think, the royal family.
What could he have done?
Well, no. To be fair, he created the Prince's Trust. Yeah. He created the Prince's Foundation, which is now the King's Foundation. He saved Dumfries House. He built Poundbury. He quadrupled the profits.
Made those nice biscuits.
He quadrupled the profits of the Duchy of Cornwall.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they have tax. It's not competitive with other companies. It's ancient tax laws.
Created Duchy Originals. Put his money where his mouth was on organic. Food, made significant inroads. I mean, I'm slightly being repetitive here on the King's Foundation, but the King's Foundation for Architecture has made significant inroads in improving architecture across the country. I think as Prince of Wales, you've got a solid legacy.
I hate to say it, all of it will just be a tonic. It will just be the sideshow now because it's all Andrew. It's all of this Epstein stuff. It's all of it. And unfortunately, the House of Windsor will be tarnished with this, and this is all anybody will remember any of them for. Long history of the Queen is now gone. Well, to be honest,
they stay quiet.
If you ask certain generations, they will say that Wallis Simpson was the one that really did the damage to the royal family.
She was the Yoko Ono of the royal family.
I think this is slightly different. It's because we're in the age of social media, we're in the age of 24-hour news. This isn't going away. And it's never going to go away. There's always going to be the lingering
thing. But don't we
of
expect this of our royal family now, ever since the sort of the 90s, when we heard all the shenanigans that were going on?
And I actually think it's the fact that it involves children, it's money, it's grubby. And I think that's the bit that the people who still have an affection for the royal family, they've lost hope. Because I watched this morning.
So it's the basic view. If you really like money and having sex with children, hang around with me. And people are going, my God, I don't know anyone like that. This is disgusting.
Yeah, pretty much, because this is the great thing with Keir Starmer at the moment. It seems all of his friends seem to be a friend of a paedophile. Yeah. You got this thing with Matthew Doyle. It's all about what did Starmer know.
And there's more and more to come.
Yeah, this is going to be drip fed.
There is also... I don't know how to say this properly, but there is also a view that I come across a lot, which is that powerful people, for some reason of decadence, like child sex. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I believe it's true, but there are some people who go...
It's a power trip thing.
It's a power trip thing.
Yes, because this is the thing. I've heard it a lot, really, the last couple of weeks when it comes to the Epstein. So people keep thinking that Mandelson was stupid. He wasn't. This was a kink. This was, look what I can get away with in public, and you're going to give me money at the same time. That's
it was amazing, the emails. There was no codes in the email.
No, they didn't need to, because it was all about, we might get caught.
They got away with it for 30 years or 40 years.
He became one of the most powerful people. He was sat on this ticking time bomb in the world's media, and he was like, this could happen at any moment. That's a fetish. That's exactly
he was
what it is.
excited by it. You think he was excited by the danger? He wanted to get caught.
Yes, I actually think they probably all wanted to, in a weird way. And I think
so they don't want to get caught. They want to enjoy the danger of fearing they might get caught.
Because if you go look at, say, sociopaths and people involved in mass murders and things, they go back to the scene of the crime. They want to help in the investigation. That's exactly what this is.
I had a friend of mine who's in GMP Med Squad, and he said the number of times you go, who's that bloke who keeps wandering past? And that'd be the guy.
And that's the thing. It's not that they don't want to get caught. It's the risk element of it, and that's why they didn't use codes. That's why it was also very obvious what was going on was they wanted it to be that way, because it's, look how powerful I actually am.
I went past his house the other day.
I see what they're talking about with the shoulder pad. Look at Pete's arm there. Look.
Oh, it's a false arm.
Yeah, it looks like.
It's a look. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
Pete, have a look.
No,
you've got one shoulder pad in.
Yeah, it's because usually it's the far camera.
You need to have a word with the tailor.
Yeah, okay, that's the angle. Well,
I went past Mandelson's house the other day, just full of paparazzi, and he's just not coming out his house. So the guy,
Which one?
It's the one they call it. Say it's in Camden. It's in Regent's Park, which is in the borough of Camden. It's not in Camden. It's in Regent's Park. So,
what's the exact address then, actually?
It's just in the Crescent on the thing. It's really old.
To be fair, you'll find it. Why does it look like a castle?
It is. I mean, it's like a very old. I must be 18th century. It looks like it was an old church building.
Probably, it probably would have been around that
flats
area,
or something.
Yeah, but
flats for everyone else apart from him.
It's like it's like neo-Gothic sort of.
Yeah, I have to admit that it would have been fascinating but terrifying to be the one that has to go through his house. Just to see what was in there. I'd love to know.
You pull a book and a door opens and there's
I tell you, I searched the house once. Oh God,
you searched
I searched the house once, and I'll tell you,
a nice way to call burglary.
I found all. Well, I think it might have been technically, but I don't know what the legality was of it. In the end, we found all this filth.
They're calling you one pad, Pete.
Let's not say that.
One pad, Petey. Hi, Andre. Surely the public should have to say in who our next Prime Minister should be. Can you imagine the growling Sharon Rayner Stone sitting opposite Donald Trump in the White House negotiating on all kinds of...
Well, I'd have two separate votes, one for MP and one for Prime Minister.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Do you have to remember the Prime Minister gets his power not from the people, from Parliament.
So, well, that's what Rayner said when Boris went, but the shoe's on the other foot, so she's changed.
No, I'd have two separate votes. I'd literally have a separate vote for Prime Minister.
I would have two votes now.
Anyway, what anything else to say? Because I think you're going now.
I'm going, yes.
What more, Pete?
Literally, keep your eyes on Lucy Powell, because I think she's going to make a move to try and become leader.
God.
So enjoy that for the weekend.
Anyway, okay, thanks for coming in, Pete. That was brilliant. When are you on next?
I'm in with Alex tomorrow at 7 till 9.
Fantastic. Well, I'll see you tomorrow then. 03444991000. Next, it's going to be Phil Dave, and we'll be going through tomorrow's papers today, looking in advance. So, it's me and Andre on Talk. We'll be back after the latest news.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. Look, I just wanted to show you the front page of the Daily Mirror. And look, this unmasked thug who has murdered, who murdered Leo Ross, is Kieran Moulton. I'll tell you why.
Kean Moulton, yeah.
I'll tell you why they've unmasked him, because of rumours that because it was a frenzied knife attack. The only reason they've unmasked him is to prove that he's not a recent Muslim migrant. That is the truth, isn't it?
Yeah. It happened in Hall Green, and it was an unprovoked attack. A small 12-year-old boy, and he was about a foot taller. He stabbed him, then hung around and pretended he just sort of discovered this poor kid. He was already a suspect in 4 assaults and had launched vicious attacks on 3 elderly women in the days leading up to the killing in the park, and the judges ruled that he can be named. But you're right, I think you're right. His name is Kean Moulton. So anyway,
in that case, Phil, let me ask you. You know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is all to do with the fact that every time there's a frenzied knife attack, I certainly assume, that it's Islam related or Islamic fundamentalism related, and the police have the courts have chosen to name this young man in order to demonstrate that it's not just recent migrants, it's not just Muslims that commit knife crime.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Part of me thinks I don't care who commits these crimes. If someone is guilty of carrying out a crime, I don't care what their religion is, I don't care how old they are. I believe that if you're old enough to do a crime, then you should be named and shamed, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, you know, that is not dismissing the fact that there are potentially more people in this country who would go on to kill than otherwise would have been had they not have been allowed to stay here. I get all of those arguments. I just think that when it comes to taking the life of another, I don't see why religion
would
is
you
important.
but would you name Robert Thompson?
Well, we have got to look into patterns, haven't we? If there's certain patterns.
No, don't misunderstand me. I'm not sort of saying that there are certain cultural beliefs that don't play a massive part in it, but I just think that all killers, regardless of who they are, should be treated the same, and that is the absolute scum of the earth, named and shamed, locked up for life. Or better still, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, bring back the death penalty.
I asked a question that sounded on the face of it to be quite silly. Would you name Robert Thompson? But just to remind you, Robert Thompson is one of the 2 murderers of James Bulger. The one who they both got new identities. One of them took drugs and downloaded child pornography, and I think it's pretty obvious that he should be named. But the other one now has, since leaving prison, since leaving youth offenders, has done apparently nothing wrong.
Well, OK, so the other way you could look at this is that why is it that we go out of our way to protect the perpetrators, but actually the victims and their families in all of this, actually they have to have their names dragged through the press, they have to go through all sorts of horrendous additional stress and unpleasantness associated with the fact that they are nothing but the family of a victim. And I don't really understand why it is that we live in a country that seems to think it's acceptable to protect those who commit the most revolting of crimes.
Well, you look at Canada, that school shooting, they said it was a female in a dress, and you knew when they said that, you knew there'd never been a non-male school shooting in Canada.
A female in a dress? Oh.
That's what they were announced. And you knew when they said that, you go, well, that sounds a bit weird. And you knew obviously it wasn't a female, it was a male.
Who wants to identify as a woman. Yeah. So, I mean, it not only commits a crime, then now starts being sexist as well by trying to pretend he's female. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy that.
But that's what happened. That's what happened, if you like, with Axel Rudy Cabana. When they said it's a choir boy who formerly lived in Wales, everybody said, because we've all heard the carefully worded statements, haven't we? The shooter was a female in a dress.
But that's what I'm saying. Why do we live in a day? I understand the country, but actually, it's the Western world all over. Let's be honest.
Do you remember
why do we live in this day and age where they think it's acceptable to protect the perpetrator?
Well, also it skews the crime statistics, because do you remember in this country they were logging them as females and so you can't actually study the logistics and the statistics. So they were logging male rapists as a woman who raped.
Oh, it's more sinister than that. It's because eventually what these individuals go on to do is that they go on. No, but it's more sinister, is that these individuals go on to save female prisoners, which apparently they say they get treated better if they're in there. I'm sorry, what? I don't give a damn. I was nearly said something else there. I could not give a damn about individuals who are found guilty of carrying out the most revolting crimes. Lock them up, let them be punished, let them suffer, and frankly, let them suffer a hell of a lot more than the victim or the victim's families do. I don't care about them.
I have to say, that bloke who discovered that his daughter had been molested by by their coach, and he said, "Give me 10 minutes alone with this demon," and I thought, you know, we're not allowed to do that in our modern criminal justice system. But how many people are actually against that idea? I mean, I'm thoroughly in favour.
Well, I really believe, for what it's worth, two wrongs don't make a right. And as much as I can have an understanding, I'm not going to pretend to, you know, say that I can relate to it, but as much as I'd have an understanding as to why that anyone who's related to a victim of crime would want to sort of cause some sort of harm to the individual who perpetrated that crime, and obviously we don't condone such behaviour, but I would say, as much as I understand why the individual's families would want to, I'd say that why should we allow the scum of society to actually turn good people bad? Because that's not going to help things.
But why can't? Well, okay. I mean, there are all sorts of ways. What about? Oh, this goes out in the morning. But what if there's an idea in parts of India where whatever you've done to somebody else, as best they can, they'll replicate it on you, so you understand what the victim feels like.
I say that sounds pretty sensible to me.
But that sounds entirely sensible to me. So you go, well, okay, it goes out in the morning. You have R-ed somebody. So we're going to go down to Soho and find something that we can use to R you.
Well, okay. I mean, let's look at it on a really trivial level. There's a brilliant series back in the day called the World's Strictest Parents. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I'd love that. It's a great series.
Really, really great series. And what happened was it literally meant that there were children, primarily from the UK, who were sent all over the world based on how, of course, and the reason why they got away with it is because in those countries the rules were very different, the laws were very different when it came to punishing children. So of course it was brilliant. You know, they could go over to other countries and they were punished.
And many of them did quite well.
Yeah, absolutely, because Cal Supre's discipline works.
Yeah.
But you know, let's put that to one side for the moment. There was one in particular who went over and he went to go and stay with a family in America who were some sort of farming family of some description, and he decided to take a can of spray paint to, I know this sounds a bit trivial, but it's true, he took a can of spray paint to a flock of sheep and started to spray paint a graffiti on the sheep. And so the father then said, right, okay, well, I'm going to show you. And he spray painted him while he was asleep. Literally, whilst he was fast asleep, spray painted his face because he woke up in the morning looking more orange than Donald Trump could ever dream of looking. And as a result of it, he actually, you know, of course he was effing and jeffing and saying, what the heck are you doing? But it made me think, just talk about an eye for an eye. It's such an old-fashioned concept that works.
I loved World's Strictest Parents where this kid, he had a habit of running away if his parents asked him to do something he didn't agree with, and the guy goes, "Hey, listen, you can run away if you want. That's fine." So he left, and it was in a county where running away was illegal, and the county sheriff just arrived, nicked him, and then they said, right. So they had him in the police station. He sat there. Now, you can imagine, doesn't matter how hard you are if you're 14, if you're shackled up in a foreign police station, and they said, right...
You're going to be terrified.
Right, here's the deal. If you wish to run away, then the place you're going to run away to is this cell for the night, or you can go back and say you were just walking the streets, and that was the end of it.
But do you know what? We sort of laugh, but actually I think it's really desperately sad. Why is it other countries have got a grip on this? That, you know, we can't turn around and say that we need to make younger generations realise, not through fear, but through very simple, effective and basic and reasonable discipline, that actually...
Physical discipline, right?
Well, I don't know. Well, look, it depends what one's definition of physical is, because, you know, some people interpret physical to mean beaten to a pulp. Well, obviously I don't mean
what
that.
About,
but at the same time, but if I was to tell you that as a child, when I swore at my mother, I was pinned up against the wall by my father, and by the way, I don't blame him at all. He taught me a very valuable lesson. I respect him for it, is because he taught me to respect my mother, and I promise you I'd never done that again. you know. But
what did he do? Pin you up against the wall and just go?
Let's not get.
No, but I'm very happy to say this because it wasn't.
No, he's being rude.
No, I'm not. I was just wondering, what did he just hold you and look
against the wall by the scruff, and he said, "You do not talk to your mother like that ever again. Right. Do you understand me?" Yeah. And guess what? I never did.
But are you then saying, when I look at this front page, that Kean Moulton's parents, Kean Moulton, aged 15, stabbed a boy in a frenzied attack? Are we saying it's their fault?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has had a very liberal house. And
no, I think it was quite a violent. I think I read in the court thing it was a bit of violent. But I will say
one thing. I think most parents who look at him would be aware that their 14-year-old daughter would easily go for him at school and go, "Oh, he's lovely, he's all right, really." No.
I just don't.
Teenage girls don't like people like that.
I can't stress this enough. We've got a major problem in society with the next generation, and we need to get a grip on it, because otherwise all that's going to happen is successive generations are going to be feral if they're not already, and we need to be worried about that.
Yeah, but they've got no stake in society. They can't see any future. They can't see they're going to be out of a family, buy a house. You know what I mean?
That's another matter altogether. But
that's sort of linked, isn't it?
Allow them to be feral.
No, but they're thinking, what's the point? What's the point in going to university? What's the point in this? You know.
Well, I'm not entirely sure. I can see a future in this country, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go around stabbing someone. It doesn't make sense. Sorry, I mean, the two things are not intrinsically linked. I don't understand why.
No,
we think it's an excuse for someone who sort of says that their life is so hopeless that they're going to go around attacking someone.
You're being slightly unfair. You can see where Ash is going with that. It's pretty obvious that when you're in a completely hopeless situation, when you have less of a stake in society, that your propensity towards criminality.
Yeah, I'm
not
increase. Talking about really stabbing. That's a bit of a crazy crime. But you know, people who just go out and just are generally a nuisance in society because they'd just be on the social. And
okay, but let's have a grown-up discussion about this. Have any of us actually sort of felt that there's been a real low point in our lives? I mean, really, really low, where life is so unbelievably pointless, horrendous, and very depressing. Every single day, you just think.
Yes, I worked with Tom Newton-Dunn.
Right, okay.
That is something.
That was the most depressing.
On that bombshell, we're going to take a little break.
When I felt like going into a local park and having a mental health breakdown. When I looked at that man, what?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure he speaks very highly of you.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
I'm trying to get at is that I still say I don't see that as an excuse for people to behave in.
Knowing
ways.
Tom Newton-Dunn is not an excuse for a mental health breakdown.
Anyway, look, 03444991000. We're going to go to the Times next. Football chief step in after Radcliffe kicks off over migration as he apologised. He shouldn't do. It's Talk with Andre and Ash, Phil, Dave, and we'll be back in a minute or two.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. This is The Late Show, and indeed it is the press preview with Andre Walker. Asher Gould and Phil Dave. Phil has told me off, haven't you? For
no, why would I tell you off? You couldn't possibly done anything wrong before the break there, did you?
OK, what's next, Asher?
Football chiefs step in after Ratcliffe kicks off over migration. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has apologised for his choice of language as the FA said it would look into Manchester United co-owners' comments that Britain has been colonised by immigrants. I mean, if you take over the local government, that's pretty much, and you have Gaza MPs. Isn't that a sort of form of colonisation? And you're deciding on, and you have your own laws in your own areas, community areas.
Yeah, it's certainly colonisation.
Well, I would say that actually Sir Jim has been very careful in terms of what he actually says. You know, he actually sort of basically says that he apologises more for whether or not anyone was offended by it, you know, more than anything else. He doesn't actually retract what he says.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I think he's kind of got a point.
He says you can't have an economy with 9 million people on benefits and huge levels of immigrants coming in. I mean, the UK has been colonised. It's costing too much money. The UK has been colonised by immigrants, really, hasn't it?
But why is it okay, in all seriousness, why is it okay for these lefty lovies who are all of the ones who always cause the storm, you know, the ones who cause the certain type of storm, where they say that they're really embarrassed by Britain's past, how it colonised various countries in years gone by, deeply embarrassing, we must pay reparations, we're so sorry, blah, blah, blah. But yet, when actually native Brits feel like they're being colonised now, that's not okay. Why is
But they're doing the colonising. It's actually our own government is colonising our own country.
Well, it's almost like they're sort of trying to make up for something we don't need to make up for.
It's incredibly hard to understand why building white settlements in South Africa is unacceptable, but building Pakistani settlements in Lancashire is to be encouraged.
It's to be protected, let alone anything else.
I don't fully understand how that... I don't understand. I think... My honest view is, I think that they believe that white people are inherently evil and need to be diluted.
Yes.
That is the simple view.
I think that's absolutely... I've long believed that it boils down to, and I even said this on Alex Phillips' show when I was on with her last night, it actually boils down to the fact that it's not possible to be racist against white people.
Yes.
White people can be racist, but you can't be racist against white people. That's what it ultimately boils down to.
And also, white people are born racist. It is an original sin. You're born evil.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't born evil, and I'm not.
You just became evil.
Yeah, well, quite. Yeah, I mean, many people will tell you that, but they'll tell you it for very different reasons. But look, I think that the fact that we finally got someone like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who is obviously in, thank goodness, a position where he's got a loud enough voice where people are sitting up and listening, and isn't it just typical of this pathetic, woke, wishy-washy, stupid government we're stuck with for the moment, where they would turn around and lambast him rather than saying, do you know what? Yeah, maybe he's got a point.
That's the problem.
I mean, I know, Phil, it's difficult for me to ask you what the political left are thinking, but what is it that they...
The opposite to me.
Correct. What is it that they think's happening in Burnley? What is it that they think's happening in Birmingham?
They know what's happening. You just want to shut down anyone talking about it.
In Keighley.
But you see, they don't see. The problem is, you see, I hear what you're saying, but they don't see anything wrong with it. That's the problem. Either they look at something. Well, I mean, I say they don't see anything wrong. I assume they don't, because that's the only explanation.
Well, they don't live in those areas as well. They live in their bubble, don't they?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess so, the Islington bubble or what have you. But I mean, I would say Islington, sadly, it's far more spread than that. But you know, I just don't. I don't get it. I don't see how you can look at this once beautiful country. And you know, people say I look at the UK with rose-tinted glasses and it wasn't all that growing up. But actually, I beg to differ. Whatever it was growing up, it was a heck of a lot better than it is now. Yeah,
and you know, if you said to people in Tokyo, do you want in 60 years, do you want this, you know, your antecedents, your children, do you want them to be, you know, not in this country? Do you want other people to take over? Of course, they'd say no, but that's what's happened here, and we're meant to accept it. Yeah, we're just meant to be like so graciously accepting it, you know.
I mean, I met the first ever Muslim to move to Keighley. He was alive, and I actually met him. And now it's got an enormous population. I'm just trying to look at the ethnicity. So look,
he must have been a very popular man.
Did you hear that joke? Is he called Amir? Okay, no, but now about a third of the population are Asian in Keighley. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you're talking about I knew the first ever Asian man, and now a third of the population.
So I tell you why it actually depends if there's something wrong. You know, I'm not saying there's any. Let me be really clear. There's nothing wrong with being Asian living in any area.
No.
Where there is a problem is saying that I'm Asian, therefore I'm not and I'm not saying this is what's going on, by the way, I'm just saying this is what I believe is wrong, is saying I'm Asian, therefore I'm going to introduce my culture to an area. I don't like the local culture. I don't like the country I'm lucky enough to call home now, and therefore I'm going to try and change it. That's what's wrong. But it doesn't matter whether you're Asian, wherever you're nationality.
You've also, here's what I find bizarre, where you leave Somalia and you go, God, couldn't wait to get out of that place. What a terrible dump Somalia is. Britain needs to be more like Somalia. If we could teach Britons to be more like Somalia, and you think, but if you think the place is a dump, you think it's a dump. I mean, my grandmother left Greece because she thought it was terrible. No, her brother thought it was great, so he stayed. But what I find odd is to leave a country because you think it's awful, and then come to Britain and go, we need Britain to be more like my country. Well, just go back. I mean, whatever.
Well, why would they? But if someone, I'm not saying this is Somalians, period. I'm saying that why would anyone go back to where they came from, in inverted commas, if they have a better deal here? If they've got a country that's going to pay them benefits, that it is free enough to allow them to introduce whatever culture the heck they like and basically change the fundamental look and feel of another country whilst being in some cases paid to be here, why would you go back?
So you're saying you've got the best of both worlds. You've got British benefits,
absolutely,
you've got the British passport, but you've also got Somalian culture.
Well, a lot of the Somalian GDP was, it turns out, made up with the fraudulent money from the States.
I don't blame them. I blame successive governments. And this is what I'm saying. I'm not sort of having a dig at
They'd be mad not to do it, really. And these guys who come in on the boat, of course they would come here. What I would if I was it. It's our own policies.
But let me be super clear. I don't literally dig at one nationality who I think it's disgusting, but I won't dig at them.
But it's not. But you do the same thing. They'd be mad not to do it.
It's exactly the same way. There are British people who've moved to Spain, and they're trying to introduce a British culture in Spain because
they're not
actually
claiming loads of benefits, are they?
No, maybe, but they're feeling pushed out of this country, and therefore they want to recreate Little Britain or whatever it is. I don't know the program. Little Britain is very good. And they want to recreate Little Britain or whatever it is in a part of Spain because they feel like they've been pushed out of their home.
I think it is slightly different, and maybe I'm being a hypocrite here. Because, first of all, expats tend to be older. They don't intend to stay forever. They do intend to come back at some point. They're living off British wealth. Also, they tend to live in parts of Spain that have been specifically built in order for their benefits. So it's not like the same, we've taken over a third of Madrid and made it English speaking.
Yeah, look, I mean, I get there are differences, but I'm saying that we shouldn't completely negate the fact that there are some British people who have behaved in a very similar way, and as a result of it, you know, we can't completely just say that it's one-sided. There are absolutely British people who have moved to another country, but I just don't believe it is as bad because they're not sponging off of the state.
Phil, to what extent is this a punishment for the empire? In the eyes of liberal white apologists, we destroyed their... I've heard people say, we destroyed their country, they have a right.
Yeah, you see, there's a slight difference. We didn't destroy countries. In fact, on the contrary, we vastly improved countries.
Yeah,
this is what I'm actually sick of hearing. I'm so fed up of hearing that the British Empire was a bad thing. It was not. It was sensational. And there are countries all over the world that have seriously benefited from the fact that the British went in there and said we can improve it. And guess what? They improved it.
I mean, America, India, Australia.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, well, Australia, Canada. You know, there are other parts of the world that have seriously benefited. My native South Africa. I'm sorry, but you know, whether you like it or not, let me be really clear about something. I think to anyone who says that apartheid was a good thing or apartheid should have happened in the first place is an absolute moron, and of course it should never have happened. That should never have been the case. But you cannot tell me that the foundations of a brilliant country was not put in place for South Africa when it was colonised. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, there were different... I mean, you look at the Belgians and the way that, you know, there was some vicious, horrible empires, and they were different. This country, you know, they thought they were doing good, people like Churchill, the aristocratic class, they thought they've got to look after the world, and they even thought that about the working class in this country. It was their duty to look after the people, you know, below them in the social strata, you know, and they saw that in the rest of the world. They thought they were doing great for the rest of the world, and they did. They brought democracy. They stopped, like, wives jumping in fires.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
They stopped all kinds of.
What was that great thing? It's our tradition to put the wife of dead man on the funeral fire, and the British officer said, "That's right," and it's my tradition to hang people that murder women by the neck until they're dead.
Okay,
I'll give it that.
And the Times, pupils able to change their gender at school. Pronoun guidance for children as young as 4. Pupils will be allowed to change their gender at school and use different pronouns, including some rare instances, those as young as 4. Guidance issued by Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, will allow children to use pronouns of the opposite sex, but only after the schools have consulted with the parents. It says clinical advice should be taken into account. So it's all... And they're ignoring this Supreme Court ruling now in workplaces. They're saying, no, it's up to the individual workplaces who can use the toilets.
Well, there is something very dangerous about the prospect of teachers thinking that they know better than basic biology. And as far as I'm concerned,
unless the biology teachers.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but whatever. But I mean, if they think it's okay to go around saying that a child can choose their pronouns, shut up.
At age 4.
But what this basically, what this is, as Asher has quite rightly pointed out, this is the state, whether that be teachers, whether that be the minister, whether that be the Equality and Human Rights Commission, saying we know what the law is and we are not going to observe it. The law says that men are men and women are women.
Well, I find it hard to argue with that. Yes, that's exactly what the law says.
But they will not accept it. And that is the route to rebellion. That is the route to civil war. Because what will happen is the next government will come in, it will pass a whole series of laws, and the government will ignore it. The government quangos, the departments will say, I'm sorry, even though this is the law of the land,
I genuinely don't understand why this is even a discussion, right? I'm sorry, but to my mind, anyone who doesn't realise that a male is a male and a female is a female is actually unwell.
Yes, of course.
But they'll never give up. It's a bit like Starmer will not quit. They will never give up. They'll lie. They'll do whatever they can. They see that it's, you know, the means to the end, you know, whatever it is.
But we've discovered this with the Islamists. We're sat here and people think we're Islamophobes, right? It doesn't take many nutters to change society. You just have to be vociferous. Yeah. It's not. You know, at the end of the day, Maccabee Tel Aviv was not banned because every Muslim in the country is a terrorist. It was because there were 50 terrorists and loads of other people that they could get to go along with it.
Yeah, well, look, I knew you weren't hearing an argument from me, but this is the problem. This is the biggest issue that faces society at this day and age, and that is that we are forever pandering to the minority, leaving the majority very unhappy. And I think that as soon as our successive governments wake up and realise how stupid that kind of premise is, they will then realise the key to a happy society.
Human rights has now been, it's sad to admit this, it's now become a licence for government to bully the people. It was intended to be a protection for the people against big government, and it has flipped on its head.
The Daily Star, Ratcliffe sorry, but FA could bar him from the ground, so no free speech. Man United co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe sort of apologised for saying that migrants colonised the UK, but he really apologised if they hurt their feelings. I think he still stands by it. But the FA could still ban the Monaco-based billionaire from Old Trafford for having his opinion, which I think was correct.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I wouldn't mind if I thought it was untrue, but there are many people in this country who think he's got a point.
There's more than 70 million people, by the way. They tried to say, you know, it's not as many as that. It's actually more
I'm
than
fairly sure it is more.
But hang on, can't you do the
according to our own statistics?
Can't you do the Roman Abramovich thing, which is they can ban you from the stadium, but the stadium is when you walk out. If you sit in your own box with the window open, that is entirely.
I mean, he owns half of the club, doesn't he? How can they ban him? You know
no. You're not in the stadium if you are behind the window in your own box.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Well, then it's all tokenism, then, isn't it? I mean, I don't know these things. So producer Adam would have a better idea than I would. But I mean,
he's nodding.
It's basically tokenism.
It's better to watch it on telly anyway. You get the better angle, sit in the nice warm.
I took producer Adam to Arsenal. Let's be clear, they couldn't work out who was vaping, right? Because he expertly did it. They knew somebody was vaping in the ground.
To Arsenal for?
I did.
Yeah, but what was it? Was Chelsea playing?
No, honestly, the reason I went was, do you remember that very lovely gentleman, Philip Ullman? Do you remember him?
Do I?
Orthodox Jew, big Arsenal fan.
Oh, yeah.
Never ever went on the Saturday.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, so I used to get his tickets on the Saturday.
Oh, I see.
I mean, Adam's Jewish as well, but he didn't give a toss. So, but they could see the vape smoke rising, and they just couldn't work out where it's coming from.
Maybe he was just angry at the score. It didn't have to be.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You can't have a vape. It's all outdoor anyway, isn't
Completely
it? You used to be able to
ridiculous.
smoke in the old days, and that was when we had the old standing ends.
Well, I mean, not that I would ever condone the idea of doing something that is against the rules, but at the same time, I can't say I've ever heard of anyone ever catching fire from water vapour.
No, that's a very good point.
I've got to be honest with you. I miss when you had your lightsaber.
Oh, the cigar vape.
The lightsaber.
Yeah, that was great.
That was superb.
I got taken aside at Spurs once for vaping, and I said, well, yeah, but they're all shouting Yiddo at me. Anyway, 0344 499 1000. It's Talk. It's Andre and Ash with Phil Dave. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
That is superb.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Phil Dave. Phil, I understand that some messages have come into the studio.
Well, there's a message, I suppose.
No, there isn't. There's loads of messages.
The message has flooded in.
But there's one message in particular that drew my eye, I'm not going to lie. It's from Danielle, who is in Denver in Colorado.
Oh, yeah, Danielle, the fire lady.
Yeah, it says Danielle says, Phil is spot on again, I love him. I mean, I could just stop there, to be honest.
She's great, actually.
But she did actually say that I had a horrendous divorce/custody battle with 7 years of legal fees, no family support in the US. I managed to get myself through a fire academy, which, she says, nearly killed me, good God. Being a newly single mum of a 4-year-old, worked 24 to 48-hour shifts, good Lord, in an active fire suppression and raised him on my own. He stayed at schools, friends, homes on my shifts. He's now 32 with a law degree from Manchester and has 2 little kids of his own. It was literally easier running into a burning building than raising a boy as a single mum in San Francisco. But I had a duty to put a decent human into the world. Loved you all. And she says especially Phil.
Oh. Yeah, she called us on Zoom, actually. She was a fire chief, a British woman who moved out, and she was a fire chief, 20 years fire.
But I put it
and
to
she
you
showed
that
us her big
Danielle's
red
got
truck.
principles. She's got scruples.
Oh, yeah, she has,
and
yeah.
that's
Give
what
us
it
a
boils
ring.
down to.
Give us a bell, Danielle. The Guardian. PM
racist, Phil.
Top civil servant in shake-up of number 10 team. He's shuffling the furniture on the Titanic, decks of the Titanic, isn't it?
PM shifts top civil servant, I blame the Jews. Yes, that's the Guardian's book.
To be clear, it doesn't say that. But
Gift to polluters as US revokes climate ruling. The Trump administration has revoked that the ruling that greenhouse gases endanger human health in a move described as a gift to billions.
I'll tell you what, they reckon it could boost the economy by $1.7 trillion.
Yeah, I bet it could. Well, Ed Miliband would have us believe that.
No, getting rid of all the madness.
Oh, I see, getting rid of it. I'm so sorry. I thought you meant...
A terrible mistake. Ukrainian in helmet row barred from Olympic race. This Ukrainian has got a dodgy helmet.
No, he's got
down and go to the doctors. It should clear it.
Sorry, just to be clear, he's got a helmet with pictures of killed children who've been murdered by the Russian army.
Is that what the problem is? Right.
No, he's got to be thrown out because you can't have political statements. But I have to say, he's now made his point. And
I must admit, here is my thinking. As much as I understand where he's coming from, and I obviously would agree with his sentiment, I happen to think there are certain places where politics really should be left out completely. And I think that sort of the Olympics is an obvious one, and actually Eurovision is another.
But hold on, you're a South African, and that sort of had pressure to soft power banning people from doing sport in South Africa.
The problem is they're all going to do it.
I'm not from South Africa, my family.
No, but your family.
But yeah, I get that.
The problem
that's
is
why they live here.
The problem is, if one person does it, everybody's going to do it. That's the big problem.
But they ban the Russians as well. What about banning the Russians?
But that is my point completely. As I say, I don't want to see politics in sporting events or something that is supposed to be an event that's designed to bring people together. And don't cause more division with that. There's plenty of division without that. We don't need it.
But we know it's all like, corrupt. Look at Qatar with the World Cup and all the Olympics, how it works.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying I don't want it to exist.
I have to say, the one thing that I did think was terrible was the way that Liverpool hosted the Eurovision. I think it should have been hosted by Ukrainians in Liverpool, not it's hosted in Liverpool. I'll tell you what I'd have done. I'd have passed a bill to make that part of Liverpool Ukrainian sovereign territory for one night or something like that. So it literally was in Ukraine.
Then they have to pay for it, though, as well.
The Albert Dock in Kyiv, I mean, that would have been quite curious.
Do you remember Ireland?
Ireland
didn't want to win it because they kept winning it and it cost a fortune. You lose money on the Eurovision.
They
didn't want to win it. The Metro, Big Jim's own goal. Boss kicks off on... I don't think it was an own goal.
I don't agree with that at all.
Sikh and Muslim fans protest and PM Brand's claims...
Sikh fans?
Yeah, what are they?
Sikh fans won't be complaining, really. That's a lie.
Ratcliffe's own goal over apology for UK migrant slur. This is
How's it an own goal?
It's not an own goal, you know what I mean?
They just wrote that just for the hell of it, didn't they?
Zelensky accuses Olympics of playing into Russia's hands with skeleton ban. This is the guy with the pictures on his helmet. Ukraine's president said disqualifying Vladislav Heraskevich for his helmet was against the spirit of the games.
So, by the way, I'm reading it. It is Heraskevich.
Yeah.
Well
that was
done.
Thanks, man.
Well done,
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, as you were reading that out, I was still trying to work out how to say it in my mind.
I know, I don't know how it happened.
Sometimes it just comes out.
Like Diane Abbott. Financial touch. Do you remember when she put her shoes on the wrong way, or wrong odd shoes or something?
That doesn't surprise me. She can't be on two, can she?
She was having a gin and tonic on the tube.
Oh, I did that tonight.
We all done that.
Hang on a second, but actually, isn't drinking alcohol on the tube illegal?
That's what the story was.
I think it's just not very illegal.
It was one of those M&S mixed.
I have to be honest though, when I actually if I see tourists drinking on the tube, I will say to them, because I genuinely believe that they probably don't realise it, I'll say, look, it's no skin off my nose. You knock yourself out if you want to, but if you get caught by the BTP, then you're going to be in trouble.
You won't though, will you?
Well, I'll say that because I don't want them to break the rules. Why should they be allowed to drink on the tube and I'm not?
Oh, I do drink on the tube.
Oh, I don't encourage
I don't care. I don't care. Let's get rid of all this.
So what would you do
Also, it's time to bring the circle line back to being a circle.
Let's reenact the tube journey. So you're drinking.
I'm going.
Phil Dave's on the tube. He's getting very angry as you get more drunk. What are you going to do?
Well, I would just say to someone, I'd say, look...
I don't care what you say to me.
Now the real laundry comes out. No, I'd say, look, I'd say, excuse me, you might not realise this, but actually it's technically against the rules and the law to actually drink on the train.
And what would you reply?
Whatever you want to do.
I'd say, turn the other way.
Well, no, they may well do.
Phil Dave's doing the big society thing.
No, actually, I'm trying to help.
He's being a hero.
Actually, I've only drunk once on the tube, and it was earlier today.
Oh, now he backtracked.
No, it was earlier today.
He's never stopped.
And do you know what I thought to myself?
I thought this is illegal. I'm really sorry. I'll never do it again.
No, I thought if somebody stops me and they go, "Do you know you're not allowed to drink on the tube?" I'm going to go, having thought about that, I don't care.
Up to the individual.
Because remember, it's only an alcohol dispersal zone, which means you have to stop drinking if they tell you to.
So you've got to disperse it out to all the rest of them.
Okay, so what would you say if someone lit a cigarette up on the train? Would you say that's okay?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I remember when you could smoke fags on the train.
Happy,
I remember once I was having a fag on the train. It was me. I'd actually got it off this bloke, and you used to be able to stick your head out, a little bit out the window. And I had the windows that sort of automatically came up, and I was having a fag, and the thing came out, and then the fag went flying down the bloody. railway track. Anyway,
I put my head out the window when I was going to Glasgow and just went, "Oh, Benedictus."
People used to get decapitated every year. You can't do that anymore.
Thank God. Thank God.
Sugar price drops as use of weight loss jabs rises. Sugar prices have tumbled, this is the FT, have tumbled to the lowest level in more than 5 years as weight loss drugs accelerate a drop in demand. So these fat jabs, Kilimanjaro or Ozempic, they're stopping people cravings. They're stopping the cravings.
Manjaro must have been named after Kilimanjaro, surely.
Parts of the dairy market are gaining, with whey prices surging as demand for protein-rich product rises. What do you think of those like drinks that are food replacements? You want to enjoy your food, you know, those Huel things.
Yeah, well, it depends.
Like
well, I mean, I'm sure others are. I know what you mean.
There are Slim Fast and all those other ones.
I have to say, I don't get it, because I know there are some people, and genuinely, I'm actually friends with people who say, if they had the choice to take a pill and they didn't have to eat, they wouldn't eat. And I'm genuinely shocked by that.
No, that's weird, that.
Because
people who don't enjoy food
quite like food.
Yeah.
I did that when I was 5.
Only certain types of food, but it doesn't, you know, I mean, I'm sort of quite, how can I put it? I'm quite fussy when it comes to sort of the food I like.
Are you a foodie?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you cook yourself?
I do when I've got time or if I'm not
What's your dish? What's one of your dishes?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I quite like to cook. Well, I like to try and cook certain types of like Oriental cuisine. Ooh. I'm not very good at it, but I like to. And that if not, I mean, my go-to is I'd make soups, because I always find soup comforting, like regardless of the year. And even if it's boiling hot, I'll have soup. I love it.
Do you know what my favourite thing to do with soup is? Simple. Broccoli in hot water, wait for it to boil up, puree it, throw in some Stilton. I'm not joking. Throw in some Stilton and some vegetable stock, and that is it.
Do you put a bouquet garni?
I don't do anything. I just do that.
I cannot help but think that you must be so much fun to be around with that.
Anyway, look, we're talking about soups. What's your favourite soup? 03444991000. It's soup on Talk with Andre and Ash and Phil Day. We're going through the papers and taking all your calls.
Doesn't cause any wind at all.
Yeah, we'll be back in a jiffy.
Doesn't.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is talk.
Hello, this is the Late Show and indeed the press preview if you're listening on Friday morning with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and indeed Phil Dave. What is Windsor brown soup? Don't know. Somebody said...
Is that a euphemism?
I don't know. What is that?
Don't know. It sounds very dodgy.
I dread to think.
Sounds very dodgy to me.
Okay.
No, that worry.
And you failed to film in my pub today, didn't you?
No, I did not fail. I just didn't succeed.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your show.
Oh, sorry, down the line.
I'm coming on the iron next week.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. Well, I don't know when you...
If it's nearby, because I've got... On Thursdays, I have to do 2 shows in the day.
Well, I was going to say, you're quite in demand on Thursdays,
we'll see.
Anyway, somebody said, just to be careful with the Americans, fag means cigarette in the UK, and also bum means borrow. So if you say I want to bum a fag, it has a very different meaning.
And fanny is your bottom.
To what?
A fanny pack.
If you say you wish to bum a fag, it's got nothing to do. It's got nothing to do with what the Americans.
So Down the Local is a new show from Talk that it comes out every Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's very simple. The idea is that some of your favourite Talk punters make their way along with me to a public house all over the country. We speak to punters about subjects that are driving us all crackers at the moment, and we've just recorded an episode this evening.
Not in Windsor.
Producer Adam and I came straight from there, and we recorded it with Charlie Rowley, Simon Danshuk and Stephen Barrett. So the 4 of us are sat around the table having a couple of very measured pints and putting the world to rights. And
I've got the brown Windsor soup. It's actually a thick, dark, meat-based soup, usually made with beef, mutton or veal, and often fortified with Madeira wine or sherry.
So it's basically boiled veal and Madeira. That is dirt, isn't it?
I bet it's nice, though. I bet it's all right with a bit of some bread.
Sorry, Simon from Bray, can you just tell us where you can get a brown Windsor soup?
Right. Anyway, the YouTube channel every Thursday, 1 o'clock, Down the Local. Thanks. There you go.
OK, what's next, Asher?
The next paper, the Daily Mail, and Britain's top NATO envoy, 55, and an imbroglio with Italian intern, nearly half his age, so he's keeping his...
This has been a disaster at the NATO summit, hasn't it?
Yeah, so, yeah... That's
so embarrassing.
It's a bit embarrassing. So there's Francesca Cortina, aged 29, in a Facebook post.
It's fair to say that she is, as they say in Lee, bar eat, which means she's about right.
And Labour opens door to trans children in primary schools. Labour last night opened the door to primary school children changing their gender. Long-awaited trans guidance for schools finally arrived yesterday. Children as young as 4. We've talked about that. A blood-chilling warning about AI from an expert who quits his top job to urge humanity to wake up. Because AI is coming to get us. Are you worried about it?
I genuinely, all seriousness on this trans thing, I know that we did speak about it before, but just very quickly, I can't help but wonder whether or not that one day, I really live in hope of this, that those who are in positions of power at the moment who make these revolting decisions and they realise further down the track that actually they have potentially caused child abuse to hundreds, thousands, maybe even more.
It's already happened. People have sued people
children.
Already. Yeah.
I wonder whether or not they'll actually get their comeuppance, because I really hope they do.
I think they will.
I mean, I'm not saying it's right.
They normally get away with it.
The children will go through the abuse in the meantime, and they'll be very messed up probably for the rest of their day.
Well, no, it's lifelong. It's lifelong.
Phil, you're a little bit younger than me, but I remember watching on the TV all these programmes about Welsh care homes and the sexual abuse. And basically, people turned a blind eye to it because they said, well, if you're a teenager, you might want to have sex with an adult. And basically,
God.
Well, that's what they said. That's what they said at the time. And now they've got all of those people end up going to prison.
I just live in hope. What can I say? I mean, because if the politicians who implement this kind of policy are genuinely that stupid that they can't see how damaging this will be and how detrimental to society it is, I just hope, the only thing I can do is hope that one day they'll get their comeuppance, and I just hope even more that the individuals who will be most affected by this won't be too scarred for life, but I strongly suspect
horrendous. The problem is, it's hard to be both mentally and physically scarred, because I mean, there isn't anything else to be on those two.
No, I know, I get it completely, but I'm worried, but yeah.
The Daily Telegraph, Rayner turns on Starmer over pubs. She joins forces with Burnham as left flexes its muscles in fresh challenge to PM. Rayner and Burnham have called for more tax support for pubs in fresh challenge to Keir Starmer's authority. The two Labour figures tipped as potential rivals in a leadership contest. Could Burnham be a leadership rival if he's not an MP?
No, he can't.
He can't if he's not an MP, but it's really
He could if he's in the Lords, though.
Yeah, but that's not
technically in the Lords, but then he would never be able to sit in the House of Commons.
Actually, I think...
But if he could become leader.
I think the Labour Party will not allow you to become leader unless you're an MP.
Yeah.
Even if you're a peer, you could be Prime Minister and be a peer, but it wouldn't matter.
Oh, I see. Okay, right. I didn't know that because I don't fully understand Labour constitution, but if that's the case. But I didn't realise. But all I will say is I know that there is something about if you are in the Lords, you have the ability to take it. The most recent one, of course, was Lord Cameron when he took on the position of the Foreign Secretary, didn't he? When he was, and he wasn't allowed to sit in the Commons because he's a Lord. But it's very strange.
No, it's really, really simple. People don't understand. Every single minister has a corresponding minister in the Lords, and as they read out a statement, they go, so today I will make a statement on the situation in Gaza. The one you're watching in the Commons, somebody will be reading out an identical statement in the Lords. And they have
I mean, it used to be the Prime Ministers were always from the Lords in the very old days.
That's true.
True.
Trump hits judicial jackpot as $10 billion BBC legal fight goes to trial. Trump's £10 billion lawsuit against the BBC will go ahead next year. The libel case will go to trial in February. A Florida judge ruled, depending on the outcome of further attempts by Britain's national broadcaster to dismiss the case. They're trying everything because...
problem is we're going to pay the bill.
£10 billion, but maybe that will be the end of it, because how much do they raise in their... they don't raise that much. This could be a real pivot point for the BBC.
I was going to say, I mean, if I were in the... Yeah. Well, you say that, though, but who? How? You know, because what, are they going to raise the licence fee to £300 or something to pay?
They'll bail them out. The government will bail them out.
Yeah, maybe, I suppose.
Although, there is a way of paying it. What you could do is sell it and then use the money to pay off Donald Trump.
By the way, I think it's Mark Dolan, is it? Or is it Kyle?
It'll
be Mark Dolan, 03444991.
Does Jeremy Kyle ever bother?
It's Monday to Thursday.
It's Friday, isn't it? He always says Dolan. I always do Friday.
Well, you can answer. He doesn't bother on a Friday because he doesn't work on a Friday.
And also, I think he's on holiday next week.
All right, well,
he's always on holiday, isn't he? Yeah. Scrap North Sea oil ban, Blair tells Labour. Sir Tony Blair has urged Miliband to abandon his crackdown on North Sea oil to deliver $165 billion boost to the British economy. In a new report, the former Prime Minister's think tank says a tax rate and licensing ban imposed by Labour is destroying jobs and making Britain less secure.
Wow, you know, if Sir Tony Blair is against the Labour government, then there's something really wrong.
Is he a Rayner fan? I heard he was, but then maybe...
Oh, no, really?
I don't know.
I hope not.
He'd probably be Miliband, wouldn't he? Actor too white to play Heathcliff. The BBC presenter Anita Rani has claimed that Jacob Elordi is too white to play Heathcliff. The actor portrays the anti-hero in a new adaptation of Emily Bronte's 1847 novel Wuthering Heights. Rani claimed that Heathcliff was not white. She says at the time Britain was at the height of colonial expansion. This island was getting rich from doing dark things around the world. Emily and her sisters knew all about this because they were educated.
I wonder how Anita Rani would feel then in that case if we were to turn around to Theatreland, for example, in the West End, who seems to relish in the idea of colour blindness and says that no matter what skin colour someone possesses, they can play any part they want. Now, some might say that's a very good thing, others might say it's a very peculiar thing. I'm not going to declare what I personally believe. However, even if you put that to one side, how would Anita Rani feel if someone was to turn around and say someone was too brown or too black to play something? I don't think she'd be very happy about that.
No.
I'm not very happy to hear someone say that someone's too white.
It's like when that woman said the balcony of the royal family, it's awfully, terribly white.
Yep, absolutely. It's funny that. They're a white family. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, it's like the Nigerian, royals would be black and,
What was that bloke who got into trouble where he said, do you reckon black privilege exists in Nigeria? And he got sacked for it. That is a reasonable question, right? If you believe...
I would have thought it was a question. I mean, listen, I don't know whether or not it depends if he was being serious or he was taking the proverbial, but I would have thought if white privilege can exist, why can't other privileges exist?
Exactly.
Maybe not in this country.
It's not white privilege, it's white underprivilege in this country. If you want jobs or get in a training scheme
I don't personally believe that white privilege does exist.
Oh, are we allowed to say
the opposite?
It's great to see Catherine looking well. Princess Catherine.
Amen.
Catherine's lesson on how kindness is key. She always looks great, doesn't she?
She looked I mean, without being disrespectful.
Well, then don't.
She looked awful at one point.
I'm not surprised. She was going through.
But she was gravely ill.
Yeah.
I mean, she was gravely ill.
She looks fantastic. Yeah, better than Meghan. UK streets are awash with illegal drugs. Oh well, they've just realised. The Daily
There's a
Express.
shock.
Drug cartels are tightening.
News? How is that news?
Drug cartels are tightening their grip on the UK because Labour has lost control of our borders in every direction. And also, United Chief is sorry but wants open debate on migrants. And I think it's caused a debate, hasn't it?
Sorry, hang on a sec. Can we just read this drug cartels a little up? But hang on a sec. Border Force officers seize 148 tonnes
of narcotics. But it doesn't say how much. Turn to page 4. Well, we can't.
Ooh,
but that's a lot of tonnage of narcotics. Depends what they are. I mean,
I love the way they can work out how much cocaine.
I think we can rule out Nurofen Plus.
Must be a massive bag.
Although that is excellent.
I'm sure other ibuprofen's available. But
no, Nurofen Plus is ibuprofen with codeine.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it's been, you know, they can generics. You can get generic ibuprofen now.
But anyway,
and finally, the Eye paper.
Is that a real newspaper, right? Which one's real?
I don't know.
The Eye is real.
I think it's a virtual reality.
Independent is virtual now.
So why have we just... Why? So that one doesn't exist?
That doesn't exist as a paper
right, can
anymore.
we stop doing that one now? Because that one...
So the Eye is a real
It's not
paper.
real.
Yeah, the Eye is a real paper.
They've done us a front page, it's fake.
Well, no, but the Independent does publish a digital paper, but it doesn't print in print.
Well, why is it giving us a fake front page?
Well, it's not a fake front page. That is the digital front page.
The Eye paper and wildlife presenter Michaela Strapon has said, I nearly got squashed in a whale threesome. She had a threesome with a couple of whales, and of course you're going to nearly get squashed. You shouldn't be doing that. It's very unsavoury.
Is that why she's got all that
No,
stuff
I'm sure
on
that's not really what happened, but that's what she says happened. I nearly got squashed in a whale threesome.
With James and Nadine whale.
No, yeah, well, I mean, a whale what was it? A sperm whale?
Oh, no. Didn't want that to happen.
Single-sex spaces protected in tougher new gender guidance for schools. We talked about that. Cull at number 10 as Starmer tries to relaunch his leadership. It's another reset, isn't it?
Relaunch? I don't think he'd ever launched very successfully in the first place, did it?
He never launched.
No.
He's been relaunching ever since.
Yeah.
PM sacks head of civil service with immediate effect. The third departure in a tumultuous week for Downing
My favourite thing about that guy was they said, here's the man to change the civil service. Not only was he a lifetime civil service, but so was his dad. I mean, literally, that family had not had a job in the private sector in about 6 generations.
Do you know, there's the bastion of all logic, common sense and decency, he says very tongue-in-cheek, is also on the front page of the Eye. Yasmin Alibi Brown says, don't be fooled by royal family's sudden concern for Epstein victims. Well, no, I'm not fooled. I actually believe they are very concerned by it. So thank you for that, Yasmin Alibi Brown.
OK, if you are listening on on Friday morning, Mark Dolan is going to be up just in a couple of moments.
That's right. I'll be on next, taking all your calls and going through tonight's stories and this morning's stories. Thanks, Andre Nash. That was a great show. Much better than mine's going to be.
And if you are listening on Thursday night, still listening on Thursday night, that wasn't him. We'll give you we'll give your final thoughts, Phil. We normally have 1 minute, just a final thought from our contributor.
Oh, final thoughts. OK, well, it's very simple. The world is very screwed up at the moment. We need to actually really wake up and realise that there is some very disastrous things going on in humanity. While the rest of the world decides to try and begin to let the Western world burn, the Western world is still worried about whether or not a child can decide whether they're male or female, what toilets they should be using. The Labour government is far more concerned at the prospect of saying that, no, we're going to blow up the planet because we're going to start digging up oil. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's high time the Western world got a grip and realised that actually we're going to head in a handcart. Wake up, do something about it now before it's too late.
Thanks, Phil. That's Phil Dave. He's going to be on tomorrow with Alex from 7, and we're going to be on, of course, from 10 tomorrow.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
He's not.
Anyway,
no.
We'll be back after the news.
Just not.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Archie Walker and Asher Gould. Let's go straight to the calls. David is from Scotland. Dave, do you want to talk?
Oh, see you guys, honestly. Am I getting my ability to speak to you guys?
You have that ability?
Oh, you know what? I went out this gym guy today. I just, honest to God, I can't believe actually that that's Jim guy, a billionaire, and
Radcliffe. Yeah, Sir Jim Radcliffe.
He gets slagged with that nutter.
Thanks, thanks, David. Let's go to Ken in London. That was very incisive.
Ken's the other type of
What's going on, though? Yeah,
Ken's the other type of Scottish person.
Yeah.
Ken, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen.
All right, Ken.
In my opinion, the Manchester owner, Jim Ratcliffe, was right in what he said. Maybe the colonised wasn't a proper word, but UK has slowly but surely been taken over by Islam, and we all know that was his thoughts behind it. The immigrants he's talking about, the only immigrants who are causing trouble are Muslims in this country. All over Europe, all over America, all over
Muslims. It's a bit Islamist. It's a bit Islamist, mate.
Islam is the problem.
It's a bit
the teachings of Islam are the problem.
Yeah, I love you and that. But listen, I'm really hairy beer.
Right, stop. Sorry, Ken, you're on your own now.
There's a cross line. Sorry about that. Sorry, Ken.
If you would allow me, Andre, I believe this country, we need to know what the doctrines, some of the doctrines and theology of Islam are. We need to know what the Islam teaches about women's rights, sex and marriage, human rights, eternal security, medicine. We need to know what these people would bring in.
But there are people, Ken, who are going to say that they're deeply upset at Christianity by saying that homosexuals are going to hell.
Say that again.
Well, there are people who are going to be upset with things that Christianity says. One example is that homosexuals are going to hell.
Christians don't focus on homosexuals. Christians teach that everybody who refuses to believe in Jesus goes to hell.
Yeah, but Andre's right, isn't he? That's what you would say.
We don't want homosexuals to be killed. I've got homosexual neighbours. I love them.
But you know that you say they'll go to hell, though, won't you?
If they don't repent and believe in Jesus.
Ken, I want to ask you a question. The other day, it crossed my mind. What's the point of all this? So let me explain my question. So God creates the world, great. God creates the universe, great. God creates humans, great. Obviously, there's the fall from the Garden of Eden, not so great. Sends Jesus to save the world, great. Why is he doing any of this? What's the point in any of this? Why? And I'm not being facetious in any way, Ken. Why did God decide one day to create the universe?
Because God wanted fellowship and love. God is a person. He consists of three, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the triunity of God. God is a love. He wants to love us. God created mankind to be his friends. This is the reality of God's purpose for us. Mankind is God's greatest creation.
Is it possible that God created other universes with other humans?
It is possible, but there's no mention of it in the Bible.
No, but it
is there not any mention?
We've got enough to be concerned about without worrying about other universes. This world is in big trouble. Now listen, see, regarding the situation of women in Islam, the people need to know this about women's rights in Islam. Islam in the Hadith, which is equal to the Quran, women are to be veiled. They are deficient in mind and religion. Women are deficient in intelligence, religion, and gratitude towards men. This is the the mindset of Islam. The majority of people in hell are women. Women are bad omens. Women are harmful to men. This is the teachings of Muhammad.
But what happens? Jim Radcliffe stands up and says something to me that I think is pretty obvious, that our country is being settled, whether you want to call it a colony, whether you want to call it a tribal area, whether you want to call it a settler community. It doesn't bother me, the terminology, though I'm comfortable with all of it. But once somebody says that and is honest about it, people sort of scythe him down. I mean, if you are concerned about the
shooting the messenger,
if you're concerned about the colonisation of Britain by religions that are not native to Britain, any of those religions, then fundamentally the job is to stop it and not to pretend it's not taking place.
Of course it is. I don't know why he apologised, actually, just in my opinion. But you see, Stammer immediately opposed him for a main reason. He is dependent upon Muslim votes. Stammer has surrendered to Islam.
It also took off the front pages a scandal with him and Mandelson and, you know, the Doyle thing. That's why I think they did it. Pete Barnes pointed that out, and it took it all off the front pages.
Yeah, that's all true, Ash. But the main thing here we have to understand is the agenda of Islam. They've got an agenda which is set in stone.
The Islamists, yeah. I mean, they say it openly, and we're seeing it in Parliament.
But can't I turn round and say, I have no problem with a Muslim practicing their religion, but I'm afraid I do not want Britain to be a Muslim country. Therefore, what you do in Pakistan is entirely up to you. I just don't want it to happen in Manchester.
Well, in Pakistan, you're not allowed to be a foreign national and be in the government. I mean, most countries, that's the case, and that makes sense, because why should people come from abroad, come and rule over the native population? That just makes sense wherever you are around the world.
Yeah, but you see, the agenda of Islam is world domination. They want to put us under Sharia law. There's no freedom of speech under Islam, no freedom of religion. Jews and Christians.
Yeah, but your aim, but to be fair, Ken, your aim, in a sense, is world domination because you want everybody in the world to be a Christian.
No, we don't want to dominate. We tell them.
You'd like everyone to believe in Jesus, wouldn't you, Ken? I mean, that's the fact, isn't it?
Of course. If you all believe in
that's
Jesus,
the same thing, isn't it?
You lock your door at night. You'd be safe.
No, but the point I'm making, Ken, I'm not having a go at you, but they want to spread their religion across the world. You want to spread yours.
Yeah, but we spread it by love. We don't spread it by.
We didn't in the old days.
Killing. We love people. The two laws for Christians are love God first and love your neighbour as yourself. We love the Muslim people, but we hate the doctrines of Islam. Why? They're totally anti-Christ, anti-Jew, anti-Christian, anti-Bible. It is a religion of hatred, death, and murder. That's the fact.
There would be a lot who say they're not, you know, you're talking about the fundamentalists.
I mean, it is worth pointing out that when the Christians launched the first Christian crusade, that was because the Islamic forces had made it into Spain and were heading very close for, on the other side of the continent, Vienna. Right, that is a pretty.
Well, and all the Middle East had been Christian countries. Egypt, Lebanon,
I will say one thing, and it's an awful thing to say, but I'm just going to say it. The reason why people in North Africa look more similar to people from the Middle East than they do other Africans has got something to do with what happened to the African population. It was put to the sword.
Yeah, but here's a thought, Andre. Here's a thought. Thank you for the time you give me. I really appreciate your loud free speech. Here's my thought. I believe this is what God is saying to the United Kingdom right now. If you don't want my son Jesus, who died for your sins and rose from the dead, you can have Muhammad the prophet, who will kill you. That is what God is saying to us. We need to waken up in this country. We need to start to pray and ask God for deliverance. From
all right, Ken, I'm going to leave it there because we've slightly run out of time. Listen, also, if somebody wants to defend Islam in Britain, which has contributed to a great many things, then you are welcome to call 03444991000. Heather is in Gavan. Heather, thank you, Ken, by the way. Heather, you're on talk.
Hello, Andre. How are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Well, I've been hearing about this poor girl, this 12-year-old girl who was sexually abused by this Afghan, and he laughed about it, and he bought her a drink. When I was
on the credit card paid by British taxpayers,
I sent a WhatsApp message to Jeremy Kyle the other day. It was Tuesday, and he read it out. And do you know when I was talking to you about my own experience of child abuse?
Yeah.
Well, every time I hear a story like that 12-year-old girl being sexually abused by that Afghan, how many more news are we going to get? How many more cases of girls getting...
Well, the cases are going to increase, aren't they? Because we've decided that if there is a colony in Britain, then part of the spoils of war are the teenage girls of that colony.
And they're trying to destroy all the court records now. Louise Casey said shouldn't be done in her investigation. They should keep all the records. And now Lammy is instructing them to destroy all the records, covering up all the disgraceful things that happened.
Well, he shouldn't have done, because he's one disgraceful man, and I despise men like that, who cover things up and want to hide things under a carpet or burn it in a fire, because we need to raise awareness about child sexual abuse in this country. We need to keep on raising this awareness.
Well, that's what Rupert Lowe's doing, isn't he, with this investigation and
sexual abuse in kids.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that is what's happening with the Rupert Lowe investigation, which is causing great embarrassment to the government. Anyway, 03444991000.
I think we should go for an early bath.
We'll go for an early bath, and it's Talk with Andre and Ash. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Let's go to Carol in Manchester. Carol, you're on Talk.
Hi there.
All right, Carol.
Show as usual. Right, I'll just start with it. Just give me a minute. Okay. I'll just start with it. Right. Labour said 14 years of government, right, was absolutely horrendous. So within 18 months of Labour government, 15 U-turns, right, regarding with it. A lot of them to do with the U-turns, how they treated our old people, how they treated working people, how they treated business people, how they treated the young people, right? How they treated free speech, how they treated regarding about our borders and everything. And now, that's why I'm ringing up today. I'm fuming. Now, our kids between 4 years of age and 16 years of age, 4 years of age regarding about sex, gender and that. And now we're having 16 years of kids. 16 years, I'm fuming, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it. I think lots of people feel the same way.
At 16, there's something going on with this absolutely disgraceful...
Do you have relatives who've been affected by all this trans in school?
Pardon?
Do you have children or grandchildren, nieces and nephews?
I know other people.
Yeah, so tell us what it's like, because for a lot of us,
shocking.
So for a lot of us, we we haven't seen a lot of this. Tell us what you're being told on the ground about what's going on in the education system.
Well, what it is like, well, I can actually say, I'm going to be careful here because I've had a daughter who's been a teacher anyway.
Yes, so obviously, just to be clear, just to be very clear, there's one thing that's a rule here. We are presenters and there are contributors, there are callers. If you want to call in anonymously, there's no problem. If you don't want to answer any of our questions, you don't have to. So you can make up names, you can make up locations. The key thing is your experience, not the literal details.
What it is that because as soon as this they came, it's a trend. Some of it, especially in not as much in primary school, but in secondary schools and that. Because they've got this trend regarding, and there might be just one or two children that are very, the parents want them to do this or somebody wants them to do that. And it's a trend then. And then what it comes into, oh, right, we want to be a dog or we want to be a donkey or we want to be...
Well, I'm more like a horse than a donkey.
Having to deal with that, my God. And they can't say anything.
No.
They can't do anything. My God, right, we had a nurse, right, who's been on television over the last few months, right? God bless her, she was absolutely lovely. Yeah. And you probably know who she is. Yeah. Because a prisoner who was brought, and because she's...
Yeah, she's been on this station, yeah.
Yeah.
And today the ruling came out that the workplaces can now decide for themselves whether they allow men into women's changing rooms, and she's obviously...
What the hell's going on with this government? And then they want 16-year-olds. 16... What are we going to do? Are we going to bring it down to 14 or 12 or whatever? We're a civilised country. We are going backwards. We are going backwards.
All right, thank you so much, Carol. OK, Yasmin, the Teenage Witch, before you start, we want to introduce you to Matt Thornton. He is a long-term producer, even though he's a young lad. So he's been a producer for a while at Talk. He's leaving my show, and he's going to do the earlier show with Kev, where he's going to be the assistant producer. Now, Yasmin, the Teenage Witch, she's not a teenager, but she is a witch. Look at the state of that view of him. Look at that. What? Why is that?
He's got his Brian Clough manager
right,
top
okay.
on.
Thank you.
OK, so what we want to do now is we want, Yasmin, for you to do some predictions for the future for Matt. Are you able to do that quickly, or do you need some more time?
No, I can do it now.
No, it just comes through. It's magic, isn't it?
Go for it.
All right.
Just give me 1 second. The first thing I am seeing, though, he will do his own podcast eventually. I also feel, when I'm looking at his energy, as though...
It's very bad energy.
Do I get cycling or things like athletics? Something to do with athleticism. Cycling, climbing, rock climbing. Yeah. I also feel...
Surfing. He looks like a surfer, Bob.
This is incredible.
He's going to have... I can't see him at all on TV. He's going to have...
Describe what he looks like, then, because, you must be told. Tell us what he looks like without seeing him. Come on, if you're a witch, you'll know what he looks like without seeing him. Tell us how...
blonde?
No.
Is he blonde?
Yeah, no, he is, actually. Carry on. This is amazing.
I can't see his picture.
No, you are. You're right so far. What's he wearing?
He's blonde, and I feel he looks like Norwegian.
Yes, he does look Norwegian. What colour jumper has he got on?
Blue or green?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, green.
No, you're...
I can see him now. It's not blonde.
Oh, you can see him. Why did you put your telly on? Why did you cheat, Yasmin?
No, I've just seen him now on TV.
Yeah.
Do I look exactly what you thought I would look like?
I have a connection with Cumbria coming up this year. And,
he has with America.
No, Cumbria, England.
Cumbria.
Connection.
She's determined that you're going to become a rock climber.
I also feel he should be into electronics in some way, like YouTube, podcasting.
Oh, he likes those vapes. He does. Those bloody vapes. He likes them. They're electronic,
Can you be a
aren't
bit
they?
more specific?
Oh, tell you what, he's been collecting them. Those bloody vapes, he stink.
He's really, really intelligent.
No.
And I also
I've heard that,
feel
yes.
this is a money year for him, and his money's going to go up as well.
He dated his sister-in-law.
I feel in June, he's going to be presenting something. I keep seeing you...
What are you going to present in June?
He's going to get connected with somebody, and I feel
You mean he's going to be put in the prevent,
No, he's going to present something on OnlyFans.
He's going to join up with somebody who knows all about technical issues and YouTube and things like that, and he's going to do a podcast, and that's going to be fantastic. But he has definitely got...
What's his favourite dinner?
And a whelk, probably.
A whelk?
Italian.
Do you like Italian?
Delicious.
You're right.
And I also feel as well, when I'm looking at him, I'm seeing his heart beating, so I know he's getting a big love interest this year.
Oh, yeah. Get off Hinge.
I'm not on Hinge anymore.
And I think
he dated, Yasmin, he dated his sister-in-law.
That's not quite true.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I've got...
People do, don't they? There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
The NHS said there's nothing wrong with it.
It used to be incest 100 years ago.
Let me tell you something now. This is really important for the Asian community.
Right.
My dad used to have he has loads of kids everywhere, and literally, people don't know they're related. Literally these days. True. Honestly, it's true. What I was going to say, have you heard of the Pentrick incident?
No, what's that? What's the Pentrick incident?
Look it up. It's about a big UFO sighting just outside Cardiff in Pentrick, Wales, and it's a massive cover-up what's been happening.
What, is it happening now? You mean it's happening at this moment?
I'm telling you, people don't realise how many UFO... I've been abducted.
Have you? You've been abducted? Have you seen a UFO before then?
Well, if she's been abducted...
Listen,
well, they might have blindfolded
Tell us
her.
about your abduction, Yasmin.
All right, I'll tell you what happened. In the 80s, you remember everybody... Well, you won't.
No, before my time.
You're all young. Anyway, in the 80s, everybody used to wear brilliant white trainers.
Yes,
right? And Milson bought me some...
Yeah, you used to have to buy this white paint.
You had to paint your shoes back in the day. Was it lead paint?
I remember that white paint, yeah.
Yeah, but no, your mum... Sorry, Yasmin. What
was it called?
For Sunday to go to church, because we had white trainers, my mum bought this special paint, and you'd end up going, Mum, you've painted over the logo.
Trainers to church?
Yeah.
It's like the shoe polish, but the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Tipex.
Tipex.
It was like Tipex. It was sort of...
And this was for church?
Yeah, for church. He went to...
Did you do it at synagogue?
No, only on Yom Kippur.
Interesting.
So, you know, Milson bought me some white trainers, and he'd just done the lawns outside. He said, come outside and look. He said, at the lawns. I said, no, I'm not having grass stains on my trainers. That's how crazy it was about these
Why are we
trainers.
talking about wearing white trainers in the 80s?
Let me tell you. I
forgot why we're talking about it.
I went to bed that night. It was a bank holiday weekend, and literally, I got up. I had a dream that I was on the moors where I live on the moors at the top, and literally, I had a dream I was looking at a big white light, and there were loads of people stood up looking at it, and I opened my eyes, and the next minute, bang, I was awake in the morning. I came downstairs in the hallway, and all over me white trainers was literally moorland grass.
You sleepwalking? That's all sleepwalking.
Winter Hill. Winter Hill.
You were sleepwalking, weren't you?
I wasn't sleepwalking.
Well, how do you know you were asleep? You don't realise you think.
Oh, hold on. I have seen an alien, and I have seen a UFO.
I've seen loads of them.
That was in your dream, though.
I've seen loads of aliens, but then again, I live near
Well, you've just told us a dream. Tell us about the actual time that you saw aliens.
That was one incident.
Well, that was a dream where you woke up and your trainers had grass stains on them. It's not exactly...
But the grass stains were real, so it wasn't a dream.
Matt, I think your reading's over.
And the other thing is...
No, wait.
She was surprisingly good.
All I'm going to say to you is this, and this is really important for Matt. You've got to write down what you want and say to yourself within a year and a day, and then write down what you want this year. And I also feel
What, for Christmas?
For Valentine's Day? That's tomorrow. That's a year and a day tomorrow.
It's too late for
Listen,
that.
you've got a lot...
Well, do that TV show. Do you know that one that was like with Davina McCall?
I don't know who that is.
In a year's time.
A lot of goddess energy around in this
Goddess?
Godless energy.
Goddess energy, which means Mother Nature. He's more... He should...
I'll tell you what, he gets involved. He gets involved in all sorts of Mother Nature type stuff. Twice a day sometimes.
He's a beekeeper.
I am. I am.
How's the honey going, by the way?
One of the
silence, Yasmin.
One of the colonies died, and the other one is currently overwintering.
What's your prediction for his beehives?
Sort of like hibernating, but for bees. Sorry.
You know the colony that died, was it a case of it was attacked by a parasite?
Neglect.
Or was it a case of it didn't have enough food to keep it over the winter?
Yeah, why did you
Unclear, undetermined. We're not sure yet.
Did you not speak to a bee expert?
Always give them a quarter of the food in the hive. Always.
Have you kept bees, Yasmin?
Food.
Have you kept bees?
No, I've never kept bees.
You should. It's good for the feng shui.
You give bee advice.
Feng shui, design of your interior of your home.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was like your...
Sorry, Yasmin.
Chakra.
Yeah,
Yasmin's,
exactly.
Yasmin's trying to tell us something.
I always grow pollinating flowers for the bees.
Good.
Always.
Thank you.
And I don't use pesticides.
All right, Yasmin, thank you so much. So Matt,
incredible.
Was that helpful?
She got some of it correct.
What was correct? What?
I can't tell you. That would be because you can't. It's like telling
YouTube.
a birthday wish, isn't it? You can't.
You were sitting there going, to be fair, I recognise some of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it the Cumbria bit?
Okay. The next thing is you didn't actually date your sister.
No, correct.
You didn't.
That's never
happened. It was just you and your brother were both on the same dating app, and things went a bit wrong. We won't tell the story in full. Okay.
It wasn't a date. It was just a one-night stand.
Also, we're sorry that you're leaving the show. Good luck for the future.
We fired
Thank you for having me.
Fired him.
Right. And
I'll still be here sometimes when you're really desperate.
And also, I
good
give
man.
him a lift home. So the sad thing is, what we do, because my posh car that the company supply has got TVs in it, we do the chase together every night, don't we?
For the last time ever, potentially.
No, he's not coming. The driver's not here tonight. The chase will not happen tonight.
Walking home
There will
again.
never be another evening of the chase.
Anyway, that's Matt Thornton, who's been fired from this show and relegated to Alex's show, assistant producer.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, and don't ever darken our doorstep again. 03444 499 1000. It's Andre Nash at Virtual Ash at Andre JP Walker.
Professional is that? He's
He's done a runner. At Andre JP Walker, at Virtual Ash on Twitter. So follow us there. We'll give you a shout out. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and well, I'll tell you what we've decided to do. We've decided to invite Matt Thornton to Bobby Davro live at the Hippodrome Casino on Sunday. I'm going. Tickets are 11 quid. I'm definitely going to that. By the way, somebody has said that is Matt a posh kid from Surrey who went to private school? No.
He knows him.
No, he went to boarding school, but apparently it wasn't private. It was a state boarding school. That's just crazy.
Watch, he doesn't hurt his nose on the way out. What does that mean?
I don't get that.
Anyway, Grace in London. A bit of morning Grace.
Hi. I'm still never sure if it's morning at this time, but sorry, I'm being weirdly pedantic.
Facetious.
Sorry. I would concur with concerns about young people and gender. Although not necessarily with voting at 16. I don't think it's wrong to vote at 16. I think that...
I don't think you should get it at 18. It used to be 21. I think it should be about 24 because you don't really know what's going on when you're, up to 24.
Well, no, when I was 16, I was really thinking about big questions. I was studying science in school, and I was thinking that I started to see reasoning to conclude that God exists, and I was thinking about Pascal's wager and all kinds of deep things, and I don't think that 16-year-olds are necessarily...
But what did you think compared to what you think now?
I've learned a lot more about the world and about politics.
Well, exactly. Well, there you go.
But if we have decided, I mean, I don't really care what the voting age is, but I do think there should be some sense of consistency. If we have decided to increase the age at which you can buy tobacco, if we've decided to increase the age, if you can only get a loan aged 18, if we decide you can only fight in a war aged 18, if all of these things... If there's one age of maturity for most things, I mean, why are you old enough? Why are you old enough, aged 18, to take out a credit card? Sorry, at 16, you're not old enough to take out a credit card, but you are old enough to vote on financial regulations through the general election.
One thing I would say is that I've read that there's research finding that if you allow former prisoners to vote, they are less likely to re-offend. The point being...
They are allowed to vote when you leave prison.
Or maybe it was people in prison still.
Maybe in America, I think you get banned from voting if you...
Yes, you do.
The point being is that it indicates that voting itself makes a person feel more inclined to care about society and to want to behave.
Well, what about this? What about this? You've been completely disenfranchised from society. The elections mean nothing. You're never going to get a house. Your school is force-feeding you the trans agenda. And they go, oh, there you go. Please vote. Please vote. Just so that we can hide the fact that the system's failing.
It's a uniparty.
You're right. It shouldn't be used as an excuse to make
but I think what they're actually doing is they're turning around and saying, give them all the vote to make it to push up voting numbers to disguise the fact we've abolished democracy.
I'm not quite so conspiratorial in my thinking, but you
well, the reason they've given it is because 16-year-olds will normally vote for the left. That's just...
Well, of course, it's not going to happen. They're not going to vote Labour.
They're not that stupid.
I mean, going back to the previous topic, I would concur with others' comments that I'm deeply upset that they're not doing more regarding gender ideology being imposed on young people. It is not caring to agree with a young person who feels that they're in the wrong body. One thing that was going on for me at 16 was I was removed from school because I was so unwell with anorexia, and I was studying at home. And I think that, it's just mad to imagine that doctors and parents would have said to me, yeah, you're right. Your body.
Well, exactly. I mean, but what, just out of interest, do you ever think what the cause was for the anorexia?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, theoretically, it's got quite a bit to do with genes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But haven't they found that it doesn't happen in developing countries, it happens in Western advanced countries?
Well, in Somalia, there's no dinner anyway, so what difference does it make?
Well, we don't talk enough about the fact that there are people in our world who literally have no food, and I'm deeply concerned about that issue.
I mean, you can't complain. I mean, when we saw the Ethiopians in the 1980s, you can't say they're all anorexic.
I mean, did anorexia exist 200 years ago in this country? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it did.
It's slightly hard to gauge because there wouldn't have been all that much research.
No, but they would have. I mean, they call TB consumption. There would have been something about girls losing weight and not eating. There would have been records about that.
One well-known study looked at male prisoners of war who still had difficulty with eating even when they were back in contact with food.
Is that because they were physically damaged in their guts?
Well, it wouldn't be not after a while.
Not only that, it's because if you restrict food long enough, it impacts on how the brain can cope with food. So it's a kind of a vicious...
Well, the Americans, and I'm not being critical of them at all on this, but the Americans and the Soviets killed a large number of Jewish people by giving them food when they found them in the concentration camps. And of course, your instinct is, if you haven't eaten, to eat. Well, of course, actually, what you've got to do is do it very, very slowly.
Yeah. When I was
I mean, the question is, how many of those would have died anyway? I suppose is the obvious question. But.
In an eating disorders unit, I was initially given very small quantities of food because they were so worried about how some people who arrive can have their electrolytes unbalanced by suddenly eating food when they had not had any for a long time.
And are you cured now? I mean, are you ever cured, or what? How does that work? Do you just?
I'm in this kind of in-between state where I do eat, but I can only bring myself to eat if I do stupid amounts of exercise. And
but are you in? Do you have a healthy weight now? Do you have a healthy body, or are you still underweight? I mean,
because it can, you can get osteoporosis and things like that. Health issues.
I did develop osteoporosis. My bone density's increased slightly through a lot of exercise.
And you got to drink milk and things like that, isn't it? That's calcium-rich food.
I actually don't.
Dairy
products. I seem to be getting enough from other things.
I mean, when you say that you don't drink milk, you don't think you need it. I mean, you've also had anorexia, therefore you're not the best person to dole out advice, with all respect, Grace.
No, I'm absolutely not the best person to dole out advice. I'm far healthier than I was, but I'm also kind of entrapped. And also, those of us who are on the autistic spectrum, we have repetitive thought patterns anyway.
What would have happened?
We have obsessive thoughts anyway, so it's quite difficult to kind of break.
What would have happened? What would have happened if, and I suspect this did happen in previous generations, your dad just held your mouth open and poured stuff down your neck, and that was it?
It's hard to...
I mean, I know that's an awful thing to happen, but...
I mean, I remember when my parents were saying that I had to eat more, thinking that I should run away from home, but then I wouldn't have been able to do that because I'd be too homesick and really love my family. When I was in eating disorders units, a few people who did completely refuse to eat the food, they had nasogastric tubes fitted, and so they would kind of pin them down, put a nasogastric tube in, and then they'd kind of put this milkshake through the nasogastric tube. And so I was confused when there were these hunger strikers in the news recently, why they didn't have nasogastric tubes.
That was
anyone to have that experience.
Well, that was interesting. But that was interesting. That started with Margaret Thatcher, with Bobby Sands and the Hunger Strikers, not a 70s pop group. And Margaret Thatcher said that if they wished to die for their cause, they should be allowed to do it. And in the end, even the IRA were begging her to force feed them. I personally believe the Palestine Action terrorists who are starving themselves to death ought to be allowed to do it.
I suppose the difference is if you're anorexic, you have a psychological problem,
that's completely different.
And you're of your sound mind if you're doing it as a strike. That's the only thing.
I mean, the thing with anorexia is I can't explain it properly because it's not rational. You have the wiring in your brain.
Do you know you're really thin?
I can see that I'm quite thin. I can see that I've got really prominent veins in my arms and things like that. But it's as though I don't know. I can't.
It's hard to. You can't explain.
By the way, let me just stop for a second and just respond to something I said earlier as a facetious comment to try and criticise the way that we had allowed young girls to be abused by migrants. I said, oh well, it's a spoil of war, therefore you should be allowed to do it. Just to be clear to anyone who took me seriously, I was simply making the point that that is what we're doing. And I said it in that way in order to highlight the stupidity of our society for allowing migrant men to come into the country and see teenage white girls as a spoil of war. Apologies if you're offended by that, but someone's just messaged in to say they took it the wrong way, and I think I should apologise. So I've done that.
I think a thing that sticks out to me is kind of letting go of objective morality and reality so that you can say, well, in this culture these people do this thing and therefore we'll allow people to do this thing, like FGM, or this person thinks...
See, what I like to do, Grace, what I like to do...
they're in the wrong body, therefore we'll allow them to transition, because we're letting go of objective
what I like to do, what I like to do is put it in different language. So as an example, well, child grooming is, an invasion and colonists taking a spoil of war. And when you say it like that, it's horrifying to make it sound like that, but that is what it is. And similarly, amputating the genitals of the mentally ill. You know, it's the trans thing. You know, there's now I appreciate not everybody who has their genitals amputated is mentally ill, but there are a reasonable percentage of people who've publicly said they were.
But I just, you know, I as a teenager had all these people saying to me, no, you're not in the wrong body, or your body's not wrong. You need to just accept how your body is, and get on with life. And now we're saying the opposite thing to young people, and it's all for wanting to kind of seem morally righteous and good, but it's not caring.
It's evil, isn't it?
I've got a very good friend of mine who says, Andre, you have to accept me for who I am. And I think, but I've been friends with you for 10 years. In the previous 2, you've grown breasts and amputated your penis. I mean, I liked you already, but when somebody says you have to accept me for who I am, by the way, I'm now growing boobs.
But Danielle looks really great, though, doesn't she?
What does that mean, though, to say that you accept someone for who they are? Because I would say, you know, God created you in this particular body with these chromosomes, and you could care about that person as a human being.
But the only person, but if you are amputating your genitals and growing breasts, then I would suggest you are certainly not accepting yourself for who you are. Now other people may or may not go along with it, but there's no doubt that if you go from being Steve to Susan, then you are not accepting who you are.
I mean, we're, in Christianity, we believe that God loves us, but he doesn't agree with us all of the time. That's why Jesus died, because we do some things wrong, and he loves us, but he doesn't just adhere to all of the things that are going on in our mind, because sometimes we're wrong.
Thanks, Grace. Let's go to Kevin in Basingstoke. Morning, Kevin.
Morning.
You all right?
How are you?
We're all right, man.
We're doing all right.
Yeah, man.
Jim Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
I think his comments are not helpful. I mean, he's talking
because
about
they're true.
He's talking about immigrants coming here. Well, he's an immigrant himself.
But immigrants like him, if we had billionaires coming here, we'd be cock-a-hoop about it, won't we? We do want migrants here who are going to help and aid the country, and obviously he's a multi-billionaire. That's a great immigrant to have.
Yeah, but no, he's not. I mean, he's an immigrant. He moved to Monaco.
A very welcome one. We'd welcome them here, wouldn't we?
Yeah, but if we were Monaco, we would ban. If we were Monaco, we would ban all billionaires and only let in their toilet cleaners. We'd say no, we don't want the good ones. Hey, listen, Olympic gold medalist, who shines your boots? We'll have him. That's what we'd do.
Yeah, but he shouldn't go to Monaco to avoid paying tax. He's gone there for 5 years, and he's talking about immigrants coming here. Last year, immigrants paid £70 billion in tax.
And how much should they cost?
Well, they work.
More than what?
Well, they don't all work. Just to be clear. You know, what is it? 50% of Iraqis have never worked, 40% of Bengalis have never worked, 35% of Pakistanis have never worked. I mean, you're bringing people to the country. By the way, if you have a job less than $40,000 a year and you're a migrant, you're losing money for the taxpayer.
We had 760,000 extra every year on the NHS.
They've
not paid for it.
Do you not accept that immigration is making us poorer?
No, he got the numbers wrong. He said something like 12.
Yeah, he underestimated it. He said 70 million. It's more than 70 million.
No, 58 million was 2,000.
$2.5 million out.
The ONS said it was 70 million in 2024. Tesco's estimated in 2011 as 80 million. It's 70 million without the illegal immigrants or overstayed visas, so it's a lot more than 70 million. That was from 2024.
No, he got the maths wrong. He overestimated.
It's the Office of National Statistics.
But anyway, do you know we haven't reached the birth replacement rate for 52 years? If we had, the population would be 2.5 million more than it is now. And but because we've had immigrants here, if those immigrants hadn't come here, we would have been a lot less. The population.
But every election, the British people have said we don't want mass immigration, and the government have said, yeah, we won't do that, and then they do it. They shouldn't be going against a democratically elected what the population are telling them to do.
No, the British population vote for a government, and the government.
It's fair to say we live. It's fair to say, Kevin, we live in a multicultural society. In reality, we live in an area of ethnic enclaves, principally, where there will be the white area, the Asian area, the Somali
in the cities,
area,
especially
whatever.
In the big cities.
But none of us have actually supported any of this. We're having it anyway, whether we like it or not. It's not an unfairness to that.
a lot of Western countries are in a bad situation like we are. People are not having enough.
We don't care, whatever. The question is, we've asked to not have this. We've told the government, they've said we won't do this, and then they've gone against us, whether economically or not. We don't want it.
Nelson in Lancashire is 80% Muslim. Are we happy about that? It is clearly an ethnic area, a tribal area. Is that great?
I haven't got a problem. I'm not religious.
But what if you were one of the white people from Nelson and you say, actually, I'm a bit sad that this town is no longer British?
Do you know, right? When the welfare state was brought in, there were 5 people working for every pensioner. Now there's 3.5 people working for every pensioner. Of working age, before you say about unemployment, of working age, there's 3.5 people.
Well, hang on a second. So just to be clear what the strategy is, and my understanding of the strategy of the left is this: to put British people on the social, to pay them not to work, and then to bring in uncontrolled immigration from the Islamic world and ask them to take the jobs, some of whom take them, others of whom don't. So basically, every single one of these low-skilled jobs has somebody to do it, but we pay somebody to come in anyway. Even if the system works, it would be ludicrous.
Do you know we pay less of GDP on welfare than we did 15 years ago? We pay less now of GDP than we did then.
What, proportionately?
The budget, it might be more money, but a percentage of GDP...
Per capita, it's gone right down. You know, people are... Our standard of living now, compared to 15 years ago, is terrible. Look at supermarket prices. Wages haven't gone up with it. Look at inflation. We're much poorer. In 2007, we were level with the Americans. Now we get half their earnings. They have twice. They have $65,000 a year, their average income. We used to be on equal terms with Americans. In 2007, we're now half our standard of living compared to them. So that tells you everything.
It's okay living in America. If you're young, wealthy, and intelligent, you're fine. But if you're sick,
yeah, but we were equal with them in 2007.
You're not fine. And if you lose your job in America, you lose your.
Yeah, but they're twice as better off. I'd rather be on $65,000 a year. Their economy's booming. Anyway, Kevin, thanks for the call. Give us a ring. We're on again tomorrow night from 10. But we're going to take a little break. And we'll be back with Jennifer from Hackney in London.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. Let's go to Jennifer in Hackney.
Hello. You know what? I was just listening to, that argument between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Hackney as well. I'm from Hackney.
Yeah.
And talking about, immigration, yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm black. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
And what I don't like to see is like, I would not like to see like 500 men in a hotel near me.
And what, have you got people living near you, you know, from the boats? Is that what you?
No. But there's this like place. Before there was like they closed down now, but they were like really good people. They're like, I don't know, they were like they had dogs in there and stuff like that. They were really good people. They kicked them out, and now I think they're going to make it into like flats for like, I don't know, for.
So this was homeless people that they provided for, is it?
I love them.
And they've kicked them out to basically bring in illegal, irregular, as they call them.
I think. Okay, if it was like women and children, okay, fine.
It won't be. It won't be. There's very few women and children on the boats. They've been sold into slavery long before they make it to Britain.
What?
Oh, did you not know that?
What are you saying?
Oh, so many of the men on the boats will have sold the women into slavery during the journey.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's only men on the boat.
Yeah, that's right. No, but when they start out in Africa or wherever, there are some women, but they get sold into slavery long before they get to Britain.
Yeah,
fact.
I don't know that. I wasn't born in Jamaica, but my parents I've never been to Jamaica, but I'm originally from there, wherever, Montego Bay.
So what were your parents from, the Windrush generation?
Well, I was born in Hobbiton. I was born in the hospital in Hackney, whatever.
Yeah.
And my parents were from Jamaica. Yeah. Montego Bay. I've never been there, and it's a long story. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I don't know. I just don't want.
Well, let me ask you this question. How does it feel? I mean, obviously, people from the Caribbean are very British. Let's be totally honest. It's not very hard for somebody from the Caribbean to integrate in London. How do you feel about these people coming from very different cultures where they don't share the values that you share, that I share with your parents?
So, what do you mean, how do I feel? Like, excuse me, all I'm saying is like, what I'm saying is like, I don't want like 500 men. Like, I don't know who they are living next door to me.
And is that what is going to be happening? Is that what you're saying? This place that they kicked all the homeless people out. This is now.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Is that what they're doing?
If they had their wives and the kids with them, okay. But this is like all men, 500. I don't want that next door to me.
What are you worried about? I mean, they would say to you, what are you worried about? Are you big?
They would say
you're racist.
They would say we don't. They would say we don't know who we don't know who these people are, but we know they're definitely safe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what are you going to do? I mean, what would you move from there if it got really bad?
No, I'm not going to move. No, I'm not going to move. I'm just going to like. I'm not even going to do a petition. I'm not even like.
Will it stop you going out though? Will it scare you from going out on the streets?
Well, I've got my pepper spray. I'm fine.
You can't have pepper spray. It's actually illegal. You shouldn't be carrying pepper spray.
It's a scheduled firearm.
Yeah.
I hope the police will not listen to this.
Let's hope not. Anyway.
Right, let's leave it there, Jennifer.
Anyway, of course you can't. You shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, let's go to Steve.
By the way, I strongly support legalisation of pepper spray in the UK.
I think we need it now. We don't live in I Trust Society. Steve in Walsall, but it is still illegal. Steve.
Hello.
All right, Steve.
Hello, lads. All right. Good morning.
It's been a while.
I was having a word about this Radcliffe thing. I mean.
Are you on hands free? Can you use your hand?
Pardon?
Are you on hands free?
I'm on my mobile.
All right.
No.
Oh, sorry. Carry on, Steve.
All right.
Yeah.
Not perfectly, but go on.
Well, anyway, with me, that beggars belief, because all as that man has done, he's exercised his right to free speech.
Sir Jim Radcliffe.
And the things he said was the truth.
Yeah, they don't like the truth. They don't like the truth getting out there. They like to arrest people. Yeah.
You know, the FA are on about banning him from the ground. He owns the property at the end of the day.
Of course he does, yeah.
They can't ban him from his own property, but for speaking...
I mean, they can, but yeah.
Well, they can try, yes. I mean, not only that, I mean, Starmer's had his 2 pennies into it.
Yeah.
Now, all the lies and deceit I would suggest that man comes up with, he ought to be banned from the House of Parliament.
Yeah, he's been banned from most pubs.
Which, for him, apparently is a big problem, because he likes...
He likes an ale, as we saw during COVID.
I mean, I've said to you before, this country's finished. It'll never recover from all this.
What is going on in Walsall? Because you've got it bad in Walsall. It's sort of ahead of the game. What's happening in Walsall at the moment?
I was down Walsall town, in the middle of the town the other week.
Yeah.
And what I saw down there, I couldn't believe it.
Right.
All the shops are all locked and barred up.
Really?
Because what started it all off, Walsall Council put the rates up on shops. That couldn't just exist.
That's going across the whole country. You go high streets now. Yeah. It's ridiculous, yeah. It's ridiculous.
But going back to the immigration thing, Margaret Thatcher was quoted as saying, in the future prime ministers and governments have got to take control of immigration because it'll be totally out of control. And nobody's took any notice of what she said.
But what everybody believes, and if you listen to someone like Kevin from Basingstoke, he believes that we're all going to get on really nicely. I personally believe that there will be violence. I mean, if I look at somewhere like Yugoslavia, where people are thrown together, when you look at actually even some of the ways that ethnic minorities were moved into parts of India and right across the empire.
Lebanon, look at Lebanon.
Yeah, I mean, I personally believe that ultimately it will end in violence.
Balkanisation.
Yes, it will. I mean, that Kevin earlier on, he's in Cloud Cuckoo land with his beliefs.
But he lives in a world where you don't see the violence between various groups.
Well, I have.
Yeah, you're in Walsall. He's in Basingstoke.
Well, he's in a different part to me. I mean, when you're in Walsall, you've got to keep walking. I mean, I'm getting on a bit, but I'm 6'1" and 17.5 stone, and I'm not fat. And I'm walking round all the while, looking behind my back.
Why? How dangerous is it?
It's dangerous. I mean, all the machete attacks now and the guns. I mean, I was sitting in my house here one night and I heard bang, bang, bang. I looked out the window. They was having a gunfight.
I mean, machete. You've got to admit that machete attacks are part of cultural enrichment, because we didn't have machete attacks in Britain until people came over from that part of Africa.
Sword fighting is back.
No. I mean, I know lots of immigrants, Slovakians, Poles, Turks, Egyptians, Indian lads, and they all say the same thing. We don't want immigration here.
It's funny, even people who